or following along. The answer is very simple, but how many points do you want to score out of 100? Today, you're going to hear about the 80. I'm not seeing people do that. Is anybody hearing me?
Yes, Lauren here.
Okay. Now we're getting people to put stuff in. So we're going to talk about how to get the other 80 points. And hopefully most of you are aiming to 100 as opposed to 50 or 70 or whatever. We will show you how to do that. So the first thing we're going to do is conduct a short poll. And again, keep your keyboard ready because we're going to give you only 15 seconds to answer a very, very simple question. And it is as follows. On the poll that you are going to be seeing on your screen, we're going to launch this, and it says that the pitch competition is being conducted next week, just a few days from now. My team, your team's readiness to pitch on a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being poor, 10 being great, is pick a number. You can only pick one. You can be a coach. You can be a mentor. You can be a teammate. You can be a well-wisher. We want everybody to participate. So play along, okay, no matter what role you are. We've still got about 30 of you that haven't answered, so please do so because we're going to end in about 5 seconds. Very simple question. If the pitch competition is being conducted next week, my team's readiness to pitch on a scale of 1, 4, 10, excellent is. And we're about to close the poll now in 3, 2, 1. And let's see how you all scored because we'll ask you the same question an hour and a half from now. Okay, and we're going to share the results. In that regard. So there's one person who's going to be helped, we hope, a lot, but most of you are somewhere in the 5, 6, 7 kind of range. We're hoping that you'll all move to the 8, 9, and 10 range in the next 90 minutes, okay? But there's 14 of you who think you're excellent, good. You're either as good as you say you are, or you're about to discover of all the checkpoints. So we're going to reinforce what you know, if you're at that high a part of the scale. And or maybe give you 1 or 2 pointers to get even an 11 out of 10 by the time the program ends. So with that said, I am very pleased today to introduce a master business storyteller. What you're learning today is what he does for a business. He helps startups take their product to market, most importantly, present themselves in front of institutional capitalists, as well as angel capital. He's helped me with a number of things. By daytime, a venture capitalist, or at least with our companies. So please welcome my good friend from TiE Coimbatore in South India, Pradeep Yuvraj. All yours, Pradeep.
Thank you so much, Dr. Lopez. Wait, let me put it on. Okay, the pitch results are here. You've shared the results. Wonderful. Okay, you can stop the poll now. Cool. Veera, why don't you spotlight my presentation as well? And let me get all the slides up. Cool. So for a good experience, I would request all of you to put it on speaker view, the screen, so that you can see both the screens side by side. And like I said, because this is a workshop, it's great to see your faces. So keep your videos on as long as possible. Don't worry if you're not taking a shower, neither have I. So it's perfectly fine. It's perfectly fine if your father or someone is walking behind shirtless or whatever happens in life, right? That's life for us. So good evening, namaste, sat sri akal, good nabend, hola, chiao, wherever you're joining from in the world. Assalamu alaikum to all my friends from the Middle East and from Pakistan as well. My name is Pradeep Yuvraj, and what we're going to do today is to focus on the F word, so to say, on the fund word, and we will try to have some fun with fundraising. I have around 80 minutes that I have today, but I felt that probably there's a need to set certain context. So there is a small probability that I may exceed my time by 10 or 15 minutes, but the intention is to give you additional value, not to drag my session. So in case you have something at the later half, just reschedule it to start 20 minutes later. That's the request as we start on. And as is customary, whenever I start a session, I like to put on some music. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to put on some music. What I want you to do is to close your eyes. Okay, forget everything that's troubling you. Forget everything. Your loans have not come through. You have not paid your rent. Your investor has not signed the check. Your neighbor's daughter has run away with someone else, or whatever is worrying you. Just forget all that worries. Close your eyes. Take a deep breath and be with me here, mentally, emotionally, and physically. Hold a second. Why is my song not playing? Okay. Can you hear me? Can you hear the song? Cool. Go ahead.
Yes.
Close your eyes. Close your eyes. Take deep breaths. Forget everything that's troubling you. Come on. Go ahead.
அக்னி குஞ்சொன்று கண்டேன், அக்னி குஞ்சொன்று கண்டேன், அங்கொரு காட்டிலோர் அதை அங்கொரு காட்டிலோர் பொந்திடை வைத்தேன். அக்னி குஞ்சொன்று கண்டேன், அதை அங்கொரு காட்டிலோர் பொந்திடை வைத்தேன். வெந்து தணிந்தது காடு, வெந்து தணிந்தது காடு, தழல் வீரத்தில் குன்றென்றும் மூப்பென்றும் உண்டோ.
Wonderful. Please open your eyes. Wake up, people. Those who slept off, good morning. Wake up, come back to the call. Wonderful. There are three reasons why I put the song almost as a prefix to all my sessions. Reason number one, is for us to realize how difficult it was to close your eyes and sit idle for 75 seconds on a working day or on a working evening, right? That's the speed with which we are all leading our lives. The second one is that we are constantly running. From the moment we were born, we're running. Sometimes we know where we are running. Sometimes we do not know where we are running. This song is my request to you to say that at some points of time as an entrepreneur, it's very, very important for us to take a pause, take a step back and look at where are we headed? Are we headed in the right direction or do I need to do some course correction? I want today's 90 minutes with this session at TiE University to be those pause moments for you to see where you are headed as an entrepreneur. But more importantly, the reason I put this song is the lyrics that you read there. It says, Agni kunjandru kandenade angoru katilor pondirai vaithen vendu tanindadu kaadu talal veerathil kunjendrum moopendrum undo, which literally means it's a poem written by a patriotic poet around 100 years ago, and it says that I took a spark of fire and I left it deep inside the forest. The next day morning when I came, the entire forest was burned down to ashes. And that is the power of the youth, is what the poet wrote. He wrote it in the context of the Indian freedom struggle because we were fighting the British to get freedom. For you and me, my dear friends, as entrepreneurs, that spark is nothing but the idea that you have in your mind. That is the power of an idea. It's like a spark that can burn down an entire forest. So if today you want to take away one thing from my session, let it be this, that in you is that spark, and that spark can change this entire world. Your idea, your startup, your business, your product, your service has the power to change the world. All that you need to do is to constantly give it fuel and constantly give it oxygen, and it will end up changing the world. So never, ever let go of that passion. So what are we going to do today? There are three things that we will do today. Like I said, I've added one additional segment to create the foundation for the whole session, which is to talk to you about perspective and storytelling, and why it is important for an entrepreneur and a startup founder to be very good at perspectives and to also be very good at storytelling. Once this foundation is built, what we will try to do today is we will talk about fundraising on the different tools that you as a young collegiate entrepreneur, and I am under the assumption that 95% of you are collegiate entrepreneurs on this. So my talk will be tailored to collegiate entrepreneurs. If there's someone very senior, please excuse me if I disconnect with you, but I'm sure you can add value as well with answers in the chat. And the third thing we will do is we will talk about the baker's dozen, the 13 key elements of any ideal pitch deck that a startup founder should carry around when meeting investors. So with that, let's get set. I like to always get people to use their muscles that's there here on the top of the head, the kidney, right? So we will do some activities. So grab a piece of paper and pen. Before that, I have a disclaimer as well. Everything that I tell you today is 100% true, and everything that I tell you is 100% false. What I mean is I will tell you certain things from my perspectives, my experiences as an entrepreneur, someone who's failed 3 times in my business ventures, someone who's succeeded 4 times in my business ventures. So don't take whatever I say verbatim. Try to put it in the context of your life, of your journey as an entrepreneur, and see if it fits you. If it fits you, great. If it doesn't fit, just throw it away and move forward. Wonderful. With that, let's get into the exercise of the session. So like I said, I'm going to be distilling down my experience of having built 500 plus decks for startups who have raised their funds. I will also distill some of the lessons that I've learned from 45 plus investors with whom I have interacted in this journey to understand the process of pitch decks. And of course, my professional career, having worked for large corporates like ExxonMobil and Shell, and share it with you. So I can be the shoulders on which you stand and leap forth to become a great founder or to become a great startup. So let's get into action. Why perspective is so important is what we will try to understand. So grab your sheet of paper and pen, and can you please go ahead and draw this on your sheet of paper. Don't draw the colors, just draw the outline. And once you're done, just give me a thumbs up so we will get into the workshop. Yeah, cool. Go ahead and draw what you see on the screen, just the outline. No need to draw the colors or do the shading. Just the outline is enough. Yeah. Veera, I will need an additional mouse for the main laptop. Yeah, cool. Okay, my friend Doug says that he's done. Wonderful. So if you've done drawing, please go ahead and divide the blue part into two equal similar looking parts. Divide the blue into two equal similar looking parts. Go ahead. If you're done, just show it to me on the screen. Yep, show it to me on the screen so I know. Yeah, Justin has put his thumbs up, so show it to me on the screen. Wonderful, wonderful, Prathamesh from Nagpur. Is this the answer everyone has got? Brilliant, wonderful, intelligent people of the universe. Now go ahead and divide the green into three equal similar looking parts. Divide the green into three equal similar looking parts. Divide the green part alone into three equal similar looking parts. And please make sure you're on speaker view so you'll see my slides and me on equal size. Wesley, why don't you show it to me so I know you've got the answer? Yes, Wes Davis has done it. Wonderful. Yeah. Is this the answer you've got? Cool. Brilliant. Now, please go ahead. Thank you, Wesley. Yeah. Please go ahead and divide the red into four equal similar looking parts. Divide the red into four equal similar looking parts. Mo is angry. Mo Mustafa, you're angry at me. You're not doing my activity. Yeah. Divide the red into four equal similar looking parts.
If anybody says they're not able to see it because you don't have speaker view on, very likely. Speaker view will give you a picture of the speaker and the slide. So otherwise, it's hidden among the 100 plus people here.
Varda Azam, you'll have to put it on speaker view, or probably if you're connecting from a mobile device, just scroll around so you can see the slides. Yeah. Cool. Anyone's done? Show it to me if you've done. Okay, Wesley, once more. Go ahead. Okay, Justin. Look at it. Justin, you have divided it into four parts, but two of them are similar and the other two are similar. They're not all the same. So I think this is what Justin has done. Yep. So Justin, if you look at it, these two are similar and these two are similar. I need all the four to be equal and similar, right? This is a right angle triangle, equilateral, equilateral. I need all the four to be equal and similar looking. And please don't mind me constantly looking there because I am connected with four devices. So I'm juggling my devices to show the screens. And if you do this, again, these two are similar, these two are similar. I need all the four to be similar. Yeah, Nivedita, I can't see it. Nivedita, look at it. You have divided a rectangle into three parts. So there are two squares, one trapezoid, and probably one rectangle. I need all the four to be equal and similar looking. All the four to be equal and similar looking. Go ahead, go ahead, go ahead. Come on, intelligent people of the universe. Let me see those brilliant brains. This is the time for Indians and Pakistanis to compete. Who does it best and faster? Abdul, right? Is that right? Abdul Jire. You've divided it into four parts, but look at it. There are three that look similar and one that looks different. I need all the four to be similar and equal. Equal in size, equal in shape, and equal in geometry as well. Okay, Dr. Lopez has been magnanimous to announce $1,000 prize for whoever gets it right. Guhan, those are four. You have divided a square into four parts, but I need the L, which was the red part, to be divided into four equal parts. I need all the four equal parts. Okay, because we don't have all day and all night today, I will give you the answer. And tada, the answer is here. So this is how you divide a L into four equal parts: one part, two part, three parts, and four parts. Wonderful. Now please go ahead and now my friend Mo Mustafa has joined in once I said $1,000. Hey Mo, thanks so much. Divide the yellow into seven equal similar looking parts. I repeat, divide the yellow into seven equal similar looking parts. There should be seven parts. All of them should look similar and equal. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Stop. Please stop and put both your hands up in the air. I want to see your hands. Put both your hands up in the air. Come on, come on, come on, come on. I want to see all the hands up in the air. Okay. So if I were to ask this question to my nephew who's in grade 5, he would say, Uncle, what is this? It's such an easy question that you're asking me. How do you divide a square into seven parts? You draw 6 lines. Tuck, 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 tuck. And all of us so-called entrepreneurs and collegiate entrepreneurs and startups, we struggle to solve something that a 5th grader could have done it like this in 3 seconds. As they say in school, shame, shame, puppy shame. Do you agree? Give me a shake of heads if you agree, like Indians. Yeah, you agree? So my question is, why? Why is it that all of you so-called entrepreneurs, all of you so-called college students who are doing great degrees in great colleges, and me included, and Dr. Lopez included, and Dr. Gordon included, are not able to solve this yellow square, which even a 5th grader could have done it? Go ahead and put your answers on the chat. Let me know. Thinking too much to solve the problem? Wonderful. Why do you think we were not able to do it? Yeah, go ahead. We are trained to make things unnecessarily complicated. Yes, Anas, thank you. Overthinking, pre-existing bias for prior shapes. Yes, Wesley, wonderful. Varda, Mohammed Jawad, not prepared maybe because we think we are more smarter. Yeah, my wife does too. Yeah, or rather, she thinks that I do. Cool. Previous contact based on the way the previous question was asked. Wonderful. Thank you so much. So there are 3 very important lessons that I would take away from this small activity. And these 3 lessons are very critical for you to not only become a good storyteller, but also to become a good businessman, businesswoman, or a good founder. Lesson number 1, this whole perseverance to complicate things. For some odd reason, our entire education system has trained us to be people who worship complexity, and we are scared of simplicity. But time and again, history has proven that the people who have simplified stuff are the ones who have led this world. People who have simplified stuff for others, they have created inventions and creations that have helped others' lives become simple, are the ones who have led the world. I'm right now using a presentation remote to move my slides, which are around 10 feet away. This guy made my life simple by not me having to go to the slides to change the slide every time. So as an entrepreneur, let it be always your goal, like my friend Leonardo da Vinci said, simplify things as much as you can, and when you're done, go ahead and simplify further. So try to make things as simple as possible, whether you're talking to an investor, whether you're talking to your customer, whether you're talking to an employee. Don't use jargon, don't use complex stuff, just talk to them in simple language. And this is very important when you start doing your pitch deck, which we'll know in some time. Lesson number 2, the ability to look at things from a 360-degree perspective. Can you hold the sheet that you drew in front of your face so you can see the drawing? Just go ahead, hold the sheet in front of your face. Yep. Hold it in front of your face. Yep, this way. And then now rotate it 90-degree anti-clockwise. 90-degree anti-clockwise. Ignore the yellow part, which I've done on my screen. Can you see the answer to the 3rd problem of the red staring right in front of you? Can you see it? Yep. Yep. The red problem, dividing it into 4, is right there. If you ignore the yellow part, the square on the side. 99% of the times, the solutions to our problems are there right in front of us. But because we look at it from one single perspective, like a horse with blinds, we are unable to solve it and we are unable to find solutions. As an entrepreneur, as a storyteller, it's very important that you start cultivating the habit of looking at things from all the perspectives before you decide what you want to do. You don't have to do things from a 360-degree perspective. Look at them and then try to see what suits that particular situation that you are in, and then go ahead and solve it. For me, as a speaker today, where is 360-degree perspective important? I realized from the forms that all of you have filled that some of you are companies which are 4 years old. So maybe you are far ahead of the J curve. And there are some of you who just have an idea right now. So if I am to be speaking to either of these segments, I'm going to lose everyone else in the middle. So for me, the job the last 3 days was to try to see how I can balance my session so that it reaches everyone. The ability to look at things from a 360-degree perspective. And from the answers, I saw that you assumed something. What did you assume? You assumed that the previous one was difficult, so the next one is going to be even more difficult. In English, assume is spelled with A-S-S-U-M-E, and I took the U off or the Y-O off, and it reads as out of you and me. Stop assuming. Find facts. Don't have biases. Be conscious that probably your life experiences have given you biases through which you're looking at people, at things, at problems, at challenges, at investors with a lens. The moment you talk to a customer and then go and talk to an investor, there's like a veil in front of you. They're both human beings. You don't really have to change the whole tack. Apart from, satisfying one question that every selfish human being on the world has. And I assume that every human being on the world is selfish. And that question is, what's in it for me? If I were to tell it in Hindu or Urdu, it is, isme mera kya hai? Idle yana kenna hai? As long as you can answer that question for any audience, whether it's a customer, a partner, a potential employee, or a potential investor, they will be on your side. Stop assuming. Be conscious of the fact that your life experiences have given you lots of biases. The moment you're conscious of it, you will erase the slate, so to say, every time you try to solve things. And these are 3 skills that are going to be very, very critical when you build your investment deck. Because when you build your deck, you have to forget that you are the founder. You have to forget that you're the technologist. You have to look at it from the perspective of the investor, from the entrepreneur, from the person who's going to look at your deck. Wonderful. So with that foundation built, I've built the ground floor, or as we say in India, I've built the foundation. Now let's build the first floor, as you would say in America, or the ground floor, as we would say it in Asia, right? Let's understand why it's also important for you to wear the hat of a storyteller when building and delivering your pitch deck. So I have a question to all of you. Very lately, we have been hearing and reading this whole hula hoop about stories. You have to become a storyteller. You should be a storyteller. You should tell stories. And for a moment, all of us are confused. All my life, you told me to be formal, to be serious. And then suddenly here comes an investor who says, why don't you tell stories, right? We are all confused the moment we come out of college. So I want to ask you a question. Why do we need stories? Go ahead and put it on chat. Let me know, why do we need stories? To help us learn from others' mistakes, it's relatable, leads creation, creates connection, helps in building, blah, 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 to make them realize, to let people to connect to the community. Wonderful. Super. Yes, all that. But there's something else as well. So I would like to tell you the story of my friend, Mohan. Mohan works on the theory of relativity. And he is from a small town called Palakkad, very close to my house. Okay. Don't hold me to the numbers, but here's the basic story that happened. So Mohan won a lottery ticket and he got like close to around 10 million Indian rupees. So he went to Las Vegas and he was having a drink. And here comes this beautiful girl who says, hey, you look interesting. Why don't I buy you a drink? So Mohan says, wow, okay, free drink apart from having 10 million in the pocket. So he goes ahead and takes the drink. So 1 leads to 2, 2 leads to 3, 3 leads to 4. And the next thing Mohan knows, he's lying in a pool of blood in an old rundown warehouse in a bathtub. And he's like shocked. a few hours ago, I was having drink in a roulette table in Las Vegas at a casino, and I'm lying down here. So he calls 911 and tells the operator that, ma'am, I am from so-and-so country, and I am lying here in this pool of blood. So the operator says, sir, can you put your hands behind your back and let me know what can you feel? So Mohan puts his hand behind the back, and he says, I think there's some kind of a rubber tube. So she says, sir, I'm sorry. I think your kidney has been stolen, or there's a kidney heist that's happened, which has been happening lately in our city to Asians who are, vulnerable to free drinks and all that stuff. So don't worry, we will send you some, medicos and an ambulance, and we will get you treated. So they got him treated and they sent him back. Now Mohan is back in India with a promise never to ever take a free drink. But the reason I wanted to talk to you about Mohan is because of his work on the theory of relativity. The theory of relativity usually encompasses two interrelated theories of Albert Einstein. It introduced concepts including four-dimensional space-time as a unified entity of space and time, relativity of simultaneity, kinematic and gravitational time dilation, and length contraction. In the field of physics, relativity improved the science of elementary particles and their fundamental interactions, along with ushering in the nuclear age, with relativity, cosmology, and astrophysics predicted extraordinary astronomical phenomena such as neutron stars, black holes, and gravitational waves. Let's check with my friend Michael Berry. Yeah, why don't you unmute, Michael?
Yeah, I think I'm off mute now.
Yes, Michael. Can you tell me the theory of relativity, please?
I think every action causes a reaction.
Oh, I just taught you some in a specific way, so teach it to me that way.
Pardon me?
No, I defined the theory of relativity in a specific way. Why don't you repeat it for me in the same specific way?
That was too complicated.
Okay. Can you tell me what happened to my friend Mohan?
Yeah, he lost a kidney because he drank too much with the wrong person.
Wonderful. So the question is, how is that? You can mute yourself, Michael. Go ahead and mute yourself. How is it that Michael is able to remember something that I said 5 minutes ago, but he's not able to remember something I just said a minute ago? And that is the reason, my dear friends, why we need stories. We need stories because we want people to remember what we said. Yes, Justin, absolutely. The story makes it memorable. You want your investors, you want your customers to remember what you said much after you have left the room. Because no one ever writes a check the moment you make your pitch. You want them to go back home and they're cooking or they're in the swimming pool and they remember, hey, I had this guy called Michael Berry and it was a very interesting thing he said. I think I should call Michael for a call or for an interview or for a discussion. And that's exactly what you want. And that is the reason why you need stories, because stories make things stick to your mind. Stories make them memorable. And storytellers have a great secret. And the secret is this. They realize that when they are presenting to humans. They're not presenting to investors. They're not presenting to technologists. They're not presenting to software engineers, but they're presenting to humans, because all of us, irrespective of the skills and the talents and the degrees that we have, we always behave like humans. And so if you can tap into that connection of a human being, you can reach that human being and you can ensure that the human being understands what you say, and the human being also remembers what you say. So there are three things that stories do. I will talk to you about them in a minute, and then we will go into the actual workshop of today. So number one, stories take abstract concepts and convert them into concrete stuff. Okay. Let me give you an example so you understand this. Don't hold me to the numbers though. Every box of popcorn has 3.5 milligrams of trans fat oil. Okay. 3.5 milligrams of trans fat oil, which is very, 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 very bad for your heart. Now tell me, the next time you go to a theater to watch a movie or buy a popcorn, will you stop buying the popcorn? Just give me a shake of head. No, not really, right? It's 3.5 milligrams of trans fat, bad oil. So what? I'll still have it, right? If I tell you that 3.5 milligrams of trans fat oil, or rather the amount of bad oil in one box of popcorn, is equal to the amount of bad oil that's there in 6 boxes of French fries, 2 deep fried cutlets that are made out of deep fried oil, 1 full box of Kentucky Fried Chicken probably, and half a kilo of Indian sweets made out of butter. Now tell me, when you go to buy a popcorn next time, what will happen? You will still buy the popcorn, but you will take a pause because now I have given 3.8. I will butter it more. Yes, yes, Justin. That's the spirit, man. Go ahead. We have a lot of cardiologists in India, so come down. We will treat you. But the point is this: I took an abstract concept called 3.5 milligrams of trans fat, and I made it concrete for you by showcasing something that's similar to that 3.5 milligrams. So now when you close your eyes, you are able to see what 3.5 milligrams of bad oil means. If you close your eyes and you can't see it, it is abstract. You close your eyes and you're able to visualize it, give it a shape or structure, it is concrete. Stories take abstract things and make them concrete. Like the story of the fox and the sour grapes, right? If your grandfather or your grandmother, when you were young, or your parents had told you that people who do not like to do hard work give excuses, it was an abstract concept. You do not know what is hard work. You do not know what is excuse. But they gave you the story of a fox which went to take grapes and it could not reach the grapes. And it said the grapes are sour, so I'm leaving it and I'm going back. As a startup founder, it's very important that you speak in concrete terms and not abstract terms. Because abstract terms you understand because you are deep in the business, you're deep in the science, but your investor, your audience may not understand. So make it concrete. Number two, stories take something that's very complex and make them simple. My friend Mohan's story, very simple. Anyone, anywhere in the world can understand it, right? Very, very simple. But theory of relativity, even someone as educated as my friend Michael Berry is struggling because it's so complex. So as a founder, it's very important for you to look at everything that you're speaking with the lens of complexity versus simplicity. Go ahead and do a test. Show it to your daughter who's 4 years old or 5 years old. Probably 5 years is a small segment, 10 years old. Go ahead and show it to some illiterate person on the road. Go ahead and show it to someone who absolutely has no connection with what you're trying to do and ask them what they understood. If they have not understood it well, it means you have not explained it well. If you have not explained it well, it means you yourself do not know it well. Yeah, cool. Stories take knowledge or facts and convert them into emotions. Mohan's story, you related to my friend Mohan. Some of you, I could see on the screen the reactions when I told you that his kidney was stolen, like your own kidney had vanished or something like that, right? There was an emotional connect with my friend Mohan. Let me give you an example so you understand this better. 65,700 Indian women die every year of cervical cancer, a cancer which is the only cancer that has a vaccine. There is a vaccine, and yet 65,700 Indian women die every year. Did any of you feel so bad hearing this data that you wanted to come down now to India and solve it? Maybe, maybe not. You did feel bad, but not really so much as to, pack your bags and come down and try to solve it. What if I told you every 8 minutes, one Indian woman dies of cervical cancer? And this is the statistic probably for India, for Pakistan, for Afghanistan, for most of the African countries as well. Every 8 minutes, one woman dies of cervical cancer, a cancer that has a vaccine. Now tell me, in scenario B, did you feel a little more bad that you wanted to pack your bags and come down and try to solve this problem? Yes or no? Yeah, you want to solve it right now. Varda Azam says that, right? But if you are good at mathematics, my dear friends, you will know that 60 divided by 8 multiplied by 24 multiplied by 365 is nothing but 65,700. It's the same data points that I gave you. 65,700 is equal to one woman every 8 minutes. So why is it that you were ready to act in the second instant? Because the moment I said one woman, there was one woman who came into your mind. It could have been your friend, your colleague, your neighbor, your sister, your mother, some woman that you know. And the moment someone you know comes into the mind, there's an emotional connect. And the moment people have an emotional connect, they act. And that is what stories do, is they help you connect emotionally to the audience and you make them act. Like Mother Teresa famously said, show me the mass and I will not act, but show me the one and I will be moved. So the missionaries of charities, they never ask for donations for 10,000 children in Kolkata who don't have food. They talk about one poor child called Pradeep Yuvraj who's not had food for the last 5 days. Can you help him? And people are moved to help him because there is an emotional connect when there's a one. So these are the 3 things that you need to work on as a storyteller to make them as simple as possible, make them as emotional as possible. And what was the first thing that we were talking about? Make them as concrete as possible. So with this foundation of you becoming someone with good perspectives, I've built the next level of building, which is you becoming someone who's good at stories as well. Once you understand these concepts, you understand that the person on the other end is not an investor, or don't color them with the color of investor, scientist, engineer, but look at them as human beings. And almost 95% of the times, you will be able to move them if you touch them emotionally, if you touch them with concreteness, if you touch them with simplicity. So now we get into the main part of the session. I am at 39 minutes past the session, 34. So I think I am right on time. The F word, the funding word, right? So like I said, I am trying to focus the next 60 minutes on helping you understand the 4 tools that you would need in your fundraising journey. And like I said, I have tried to tailor make my session to suit the needs of a collegiate entrepreneur who I am assuming is somewhere in the age group of 18 to 24, 26, with very minimal experience, with probably having started a startup and having run the company for a few months or a few years. If there's someone who's a bit senior and you've already been in the investment game and you feel a little disconnected, stay on. Maybe I might give you some new perspectives. If I don't end up giving you new perspectives, mail me and we can have a one-on-one conversation or a group conversation later on as well. So there are 4 tools that you would ideally use in your fundraising journey, before which I would want you to look at yourself in the mirror and first ask, do you really need funds? Because in the metaphor that I use, getting funds and getting investors on board is like a marriage, okay? You're committed for life. And if it's a good one, great. But if it's not a good one, then there's again one more F word that you need to use for your life. That ends with ED. So try to start your journey as much as possible to be bootstrapped, beg, borrow, get money from friends, get money from your college, get grants from the government. As far as possible, try to sustain by bootstrapping. But when you realize that, no, my business will not move to the next stage without funding, then be conscious of the fact that you are getting into a long-term commitment and it demands a lot of things, and then go ahead and do it. With that little piece of unsolicited advice, let me get into the 4 important tools. Number 1 is the elevator pitch. Number 2 is the pitch deck. Number 3 is the pitch book. And number 4 is the one-pager business plan summary. Of these 3 of these tools, the elevator pitch, the pitch deck, and the one-pager, you will be using as part of this competition as well. So some of my talk will also overlap with your fundraising journey with investors, but also with the competition in mind, so to say. Let me grab a sip of water. Wonderful. How many of you know what are odd numbers and even numbers? All of you know odd numbers and even numbers? Wonderful. So keep your hands like this in front of your face. Okay. And if I tell you an odd number, you have to clap. And if I tell you an even number, you should not clap. Okay. Let's check whether you know odd numbers and even numbers. Okay. If I tell you an odd number, clap. If I tell you an even number, don't clap. 72. Some of my friends still don't know what odd numbers, even numbers are. 9. Clap, clap. You need to clap if I tell an even number, an odd number. 72. 77. Ikechukwa is still waiting. Is 77 odd number, even number, and then I clap. Okay, thank you so much. Let's get into action. We will start off with the baker's dozen, the 13 slides of an ideal pitch deck. Why I call this the baker's dozen? There's an interesting story to the word baker's dozen. Although it says dozen, it actually means 13. So in the olden times in Europe, in Britain, when the baker used to give bread slices, he was supposed to give 12 slices. And if he or she missed giving 12 slices, the king used to flog him in the middle of the street. So just to be on the safer side, the bakers used to throw in one extra slice. And that's how the term baker's dozen came to mean 13 things and not 12 things. So I'm going to talk to you about 13 key elements of any pitch deck, which you would use in your fundraising journey. This is an amalgamation of pitch decks created by Y Combinator, pitch decks proposed by Guy Kawasaki, pitch decks proposed by Sequoia, and all those people. So I will give it to you in the form of a framework, and then you can go ahead and move it around depending upon your journey and what you know. Before that, let me ask you one fundamental question. What's the one single objective of pitching your pitch deck to an investor? Let's say you have a 10-minute pitch, you've been given 10 minutes and you're pitching it. What is the one single objective that you want to achieve out of it? Very, very important that you understand this point very well. Very good. My friend Abdullah. You need to unmute yourself and tell me how to pronounce your name. I'm feeling bad that I'm not pronouncing your name the right way. Can I call you Eddie? Is that okay with you? Yeah, okay, Eddie. Thank you so much. Right? So wonderful. Cool. To get them interested, to get the deal, to leave a positive impression, to get them want your company exists, to get them does not allow me to unmute. Okay, that's okay. Win, economic value proposition of company. Wonderful. I think my friend AD gave the answer right in the beginning, is that the only single purpose of a pitch deck, a 10-minute pitch, is for you to get the next meeting, period. Nothing more, nothing less. Once you get this into your understanding, then you start deciding what to tell and what not to tell. The moment you start thinking that it's going to get you investment, it's going to get you excited, you want them to remember you. Okay, all that is great. But what next? Most of the time, if you miss out on this perspective, that the only objective of a pitch deck is to get the next meeting, then you will decide what to tell and you will also decide what not to tell, which is the more important thing. Because you don't want them to see the whole movie. You want them to see the trailer and then feel so good that, hey, come down, let's have a 1-hour conversation and I want to understand your business more detail. So very, very important that you understand this point. What you really want them to do is go, oh my God, or go seriously, or wow, or aha, or really, or interesting, or That's the experience. That's the emotion you want to evoke in them. And then they say, okay, wow, this looks like the movie from Tom Cruise is great. Let me go and watch the movie for 2-3 hours or whatever. So the first part of a pitch deck, and now we get into the numbers. When I say number 1, it does not literally mean slide number 1, but in your structure, you can put it in any way, but preferably in the same structure that we're talking about. And no need to write down anything that you see on my screen. I will be giving you the link to a form right now on which you will go ahead and feed in your details of the pitch deck. And as we go along in the next 60 minutes, as a team, we will work on your pitch decks. And once we are done with that, what will happen is, let me show you something. Let me share my screen. Here's my screen. Yep. So all your answers will come here. I will take them real time. A few examples from each one of you, and I will give you feedback right now. But more importantly, the moment this session is done, thanks to my friend Gordon Grant in Atlanta, we will send you all the answers that you keyed in today based on what you listened from me. And in 1 week's time, we will send you one second PDF that will also have comments from my team who are of storytellers and strategists or presentation strategists. So you have feedback here as well. And if you key in or if you send us the email IDs of your mentors, we will send it to them and we will ask them also to give you feedback. So that's the way we have used Google Suite and Google Forms to make this workshop as interactive as possible, right? Wonderful. So the first part of any pitch deck ideally should be the intro or the value proposition. What is this? I call this the holding slide in my terminology. What I mean is when you put your laptop on and put the presentation on, you want people to look at it and understand certain things, but you don't want to talk to it because you're trying to settle in, they're trying to settle in, everyone is sitting down, the fan is not working, the air conditioning is not working, people are sipping their tea, and there's this slide that's there on the screen. Ideally, it has to be a single liner slide that talks in a very simple term as to what your business does. So people understand which domain of business you are from and what do you do. There are some easy ways to do it by either using metaphors. For example, if it's a company that's into video streaming for educational videos, they could just say we are the Netflix of education. Or make it even more simpler, solar powered motors for farmers. So your investor or the audience is able to understand that you are in the business of motors. And what are you targeting? Your target customer is farmers. So he or she now has a context to what they're going to listen in the next 9.5 minutes from you. A few more examples to understand the one-liner. For example, for YouTube, the one-liner could have been Flickr for video, right? Flickr was the streaming service or the aggregation service. For Indeed, which is the job portal, it could be Google for jobs. For Upwork, it could be LinkedIn for freelancers. So what we want to do now is to create one single line that in a very simple manner encapsulates everything that your business does. You want it to be simple. You want to tell them in what domain you are, who your customers are, but you don't want to tell them how you work. So go ahead, use this link that you see on the screen, bit.ly. Can one of my colleagues from Presentim also put it on the chat? Go ahead and start using the form. On the form, the first question is the elevator pitch, so please ignore that and go ahead to the next one and fill it for me here. Let me put it here so everyone is on the same page. Please note the first field in the form, or rather the first part is the elevator pitch. Ignore that for now and move to the next stage. Yep. And yeah, I hope you can see it. So you'll have to put in your email ID and your startup name because this tool is going to be collaborative. So for it to be collaborative, you need to have the email ID so you can keep submitting multiple times your answers and keep submitting, right? So go ahead. I'll give you 40 seconds to think. You fill all these details and then go here. So create a single one-liner to define your business startup idea. It can be analogy. It can be a simpler term. It can describe what you do, but not exactly how and why. And make it without any jargon. Think of me. I am your guinea pig. I am a dumb idiot. What would you tell me about your business? Go ahead and feed it in here in this field where you see in this field where you see create a single liner. Go ahead and fill it here. As you keep filling in, I will be getting the answers here in responses. So Gordon Grant has filled in. You will once you're done, you'll have to scroll down to the end and hit submit. Let me do it. Pradeep.yuvraj@presentim.com. Startup name Presentim. I am attending on Saturday 14th. Elevator pitch, we build pitch decks. And then not here. I need to put it here in my value proposition. And then I scroll down and I submit. Yep. Very important that once you submit, you click edit your response and not submit another response. That way you can keep going back and editing it. And as you do it, I will be able to, there, people are, I'm getting stuff. Wonderful. Wonderful to see those responses coming in. Today, we will take a few of them, try to analyze them for all of us to understand. And then at the end of the day, all of you will get customized feedback for each of your inputs that you're given here. So go ahead. Once you're done, just click on edit your response and go back. So I'll give you another 20 seconds to do yours and then we will move. Where's my share screen? Oops. Here's my stop share. Cool. Wonderful. Let me look. So Gordon, the moment we've hit 50 responses, I'll keep moving to the next slide, right? Cool. Let me grab my sip of water. Wonderful. Let me get my water. Okay, going in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, let's move to the next slide. So the next slide or the next component is trying to set the context of the problem. Or what is it that the world is missing? Because for many of us, maybe you are not solving a problem. You're taking something that's existing and making it better. But the idea of this slide is to set the context and put the persona of the person who has the problem, which is your ideal customer. So define what is the problem, define who has the problem, create a persona of that person. Make it as quantitative as possible. For example, did you know that 32% of Indian women die of cervical cancer without having access to the vaccine? Right? It's a hard statistic. If there's a story that you can build in to say, how did you land up on this problem? When I was studying at my college, I realized that it's so difficult for students to research on protons. So I decided that let me make it simple and let me make it cheap. And that's how I built this. If there's a personal connection to the problem, it becomes much more easier. So for example, my business is to build PowerPoints. The reason I had to find it out is because I was struggling myself, spending hours and hours when I could have gone and met customers and did my sale. I always used to wonder if there was someone else who could do it. So once there's a personal connection, the investor or the audience is able to understand that, hey, this guy makes sense and is not giving bullshit. And how do you want the problem to be? You want the problem statement to create some kind of an emotion, if possible. You want it to be concrete so people understand what you're talking. Don't make it jargon. Don't make it technological. You make something unexpected, like the story of my friend Mohan, where he lost his kidney. People get excited when they see unexpected things on the screen or unexpected scenes in the story. Try to bring in credibility by referring people or sources of credibility. But most importantly, make the problem statement also something that's really simple for people to understand. So go ahead and so for example, the slide that I showed you earlier, right? A way to put the problem statement saying that, did you know 8 women die one woman dies every 8 minutes, and there's a vaccine to it. And the statistic reads to 67,477 deaths in a year. And here we are to solve this. So go ahead now, again, take the next field on your form, which is the problem statement, and define the problem for me. Once you're done with this, we will open up the Google form and or I'll request my friend Gordon to do it, and we will analyze one or few of those one-liners that you had. So I'm giving you a minute to go ahead and explain your problem statement, define the problem statement in a few lines, create a picture of the person or the individual. It's always easy to create a character and put that character saying that, hey, meet Lewis from TiE Atlanta. Lewis finds it so difficult that the Atlanta weather is so miserable. Sometimes it's so great. So Lewis is not able to run the office on all 365 days. So now I know who Lewis is, where he's from, what are the problems he's facing. Go ahead and fill this field that says define the problem in a few lines, and then I will analyze the other part that you filled in already. Cool. Gordon, I think one more value addition to the tool is to have a dashboard to see how many people have filled it, and then the dashboard keeps moving. My demands are increasing, Gordon. Cool. Go ahead, take a minute and fill in the form by defining the problem. Try to excite the audience to really fall for it, go, aha, wow, brilliant, or whatever. Try to make it simple, emotional, concrete, and as jargon-free as possible. And don't worry, today is just the first day for you to do this. As you go along, you can keep working on it. Some of my customers, their pitch decks have really raised them funds after version number 18 or 19 as well. It's a work in progress constantly. Yeah, don't worry. There's no right or wrong answer either, right? Okay, so done. We will now share screen, or let me read out one of the where is this? Yeah. Okay. So my friends at EMR Chains Private Limited tell me that the one-liner for their business is a digital prescription. Okay. Now, it's a simple one-liner, but the questions that it puts in my mind is prescription for what? Because in an Indian context, a prescription could mean prescription from a doctor, but in a Western concept, it could mean something else as well. And when you say digital, does it mean that the doctor types it on a pad or a keypad or whatever? So when you phrase those lines, try to phrase them in such a way that it does not evoke many questions in the audience's mind. They should kind of get a context as to what business you are in and what is the kind of customer that you're trying to do. So here I'm not able to understand who the customer is. Is a digital prescription from an auto mechanic. An auto mechanic can also give a prescription for my car, right? So it could be anything. So go ahead and make it as simple. Thank you, Muzna. Yeah, let's probably take another example to understand the problem statement. Okay, let's go alphabetic wise. There's this company called Aegis has still not submitted. Let's go to Athena. Yeah, 36% of Indian employees suffer from physical and mental health issues, leading to reduced productivity, increased hospitalization and emergency visits, and ultimately resulting in preventing deaths delayed due to treatment. Our mission is to revolutionize employee health management with AI-powered monitoring to improve employee well-being and prevent late medical care. Wonderful. The statistics are great, but the problem with statistics is they are unemotional. So when you are setting the context by talking about a big statistic, it does make me excited. But maybe if you could portray the picture of an Indian employee, let's say, meet Nitishri, she works in a large corporate in India, and these are her problems. I will start in reverse order as well, Pramod Mishra. Sure, I will do that. Yeah. So the problem is my company's name is PREZANTIM. So unlike Amazon, we are Z to A and not A to Z. So yeah, we will do that. We will go from Z to A, right? So, but the point, who's this team? Athena, right? So the team Athena, the point is try to create the persona of an individual and make the audience go through the journey of that person to understand and empathize with the problem he or she is doing it. Let me pick up one more, probably, let's do, okay. So my friend from Oxox has still not put the problem statement, but I think the problem statement is very clear, even from his one-liner, which is stink-free socks for stinky feet, right? So maybe we will skip that. We will go to idle hubs. Okay. Idle hubs has put in this. Don't start answering the other ones, right? Just keep doing the ones that I'm talking about. With EV purchases set to reach over 25 million, blah 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 blah, right? Lot of numbers, lot of data, but the connect is missing. So try to make it connect by giving an example. I don't know who this team is, idlehubs@gmail.com. So that's the whole context of Pratmesh Yadav. Yes, we will come to TiE Studio as well. Don't worry. So you set the problem statement. Now, what have you done? You have made them feel bad, or you have made them feel excited, or you have made them say, oh my God, are you serious that so many Indian women die for a cause for which there's already a vaccine, right? So now once people are emotionally connected, they want to know more. And this is when you kind of magnify the problem by talking about how many people have the problem. Now, please understand, in my slide, I use this as slide number 3, because I want to talk about a problem and then magnify the problem by talking about the market size. But in some of your cases, the problems, the market size or the number of people who have the problem can come much later as well. So like I said, don't go verbatim with what I say, but my idea is problem. And then I'm magnifying that problem so big because now it makes people more anxious that, hey, it's not only 2 women who are suffering from this, but it is 36.5 million Indian women who are suffering from this. Now, the problem is magnified and they are able to visualize such a big thing and a big opportunity in the terms of business, right? So when you talk about the problem statement, what you primarily want, when you talk about the market size, what you primarily want to do is to talk about the total available market, the serviceable available market, and the serviceable obtainable market, right? What do we mean by serviceable available market and serviceable obtainable market and TAM? So TAM is the entire number of people or companies or institutions that would buy your product, assuming there are no barriers to you selling. Like it's a free cakewalk and you can just go there and they will buy your product. So that's the entire universe of people who can buy your product. The serviceable attainable market is given the limitations of your business, given the limitations of your manufacturing capacity, given the limitations of your geographical reach, what is the maximum number of people or maximum number of customers that you can reach to? And the serviceable obtainable market is nothing but given the further constraints of timelines in a limited period, what is the maximum market share that you can achieve? So there are 2 ways to look at it. For example, on this slide that I'm showing you right now, here, We have also shown the market for wellness in India, which is 100,000 crores. Crores in India is nothing but 10 million INR, Indian rupees. The market out of this 100K, the market for beauty care is 49K, which is my SAM. But my business, which is into the service of beauty services, the obtainable market is only 19.6K million or whatever, depending upon what you're saying. So this is one way to define the market size. Now, what do? I take this market size and I break it down further to relate directly to my business, which means I take the beauty services and then break that down into TAM, SAM, and so on. For example, let's say here, my total available market is all the healthy women in India between the age group of 30 to 60 who are eligible for the cervical cancer vaccine or the pap smear test. But I know that I cannot reach all of these people using the current business model, which is to sell it online. So my market share or the market that I can reach reduces, which is nothing but your serviceable, attainable market, all the people who are accessible through my business model. But even in this large number of people, I may be only able to reach a very small segment because today I don't have the manpower, today I don't have the networks, today I don't have the channels. So my serviceable, obtainable market, the SOM, is just 2 million, which is basically urban women who have an experience or awareness of the pap smear test. The pap smear test is a test that helps a lady find whether she has cervical cancer or no. I'm trying to keep that same example so you understand. So what I want you to do now is to go again to your form and explain your market share or market size. How many people have the problem? And I've given definitions for TAM, SAM, and SOM. So TAM is the total potential for your product, assuming there are no barriers. SAM is the portion that depends upon all the limitations that you have as a business. And the SOM is the portion that you can realistically achieve in a given time frame. Do not go by numbers now. Don't give me statistics here. Go and define how you say. For example, in the previous example that you see on the screen, I defined my total available market as all the Indian women who are in urban cities. Although any other woman could also buy my products, but I don't want to talk about them because they may not be able to access my product. They may not be able to buy the product, right? So your TAM is defined as ideally the maximum number of people that I want to sell, but again with certain parameters and restrictions. So go ahead and fill it. Your SAM is nothing but a portion of the TAM, and the SOM is nothing but a portion of that SAM as well, based on certain time limitations and restrictions that you have based on your business. And like I said, don't go by data. Don't give me numbers now when you're doing this activity. Give me the parameters based on which you're going to define your TAM, SAM, and SOM. I define my TAM as all the people who have a salary of $1 million and above. I define my SAM as all the people in the state of Atlanta. I define my SOM as all the people in a particular county because that's the only reach I have for today or for the next 6 months or for the year, kind of a thing. Yeah. So let me again go to my form, take 30 seconds. What you are not available to find record for your market, like if anyone else can use it. So what if you are not available to find record for your market, like if anyone. So Rishi, I'm assuming that if you don't get statistics for it, you try to extrapolate it based on the numbers you see in a particular city. Let's say there are 100 cities in the country that you operate out of. In one city, this is the case. You kind of extrapolate it. Please understand, this is not like an exact number, but it is more to give you a focus as to whom do you want to target and how do you want to target them as well. And my friend Gordon has message saying that I can see the startups who have filled the numbers. Where can I see it? I can't see it here. Cool. Go ahead and fill in. Let me see if I can open up one of the answers and kind of give feedback. My friend, who was that? What was the name? Who wanted me to? TiE Studio. Okay, let's look at TiE Studio. Right. So TiE Studio says, let me pull it up so all of you can see it as well. Based on available data, the global internet user population is around 4.6 billion people. Wonderful. So, my dear friends from TiE, yes, it does look great to say that the entire world and all the people who use internet are my customers, right? But we need to be realistic. there might be certain more parameters that you really want to reach to them, because in an ideal situation, you may need all the resources in the world to reach them. So try to make your TAM a little bit narrower, because putting in large, unreasonable numbers in front of an investor is also going to scare them off, because they're going to think that you are someone who's not pragmatic, who's someone who's realistic. So our SAM is the portion of the TAM that our marketing and sales effect can effectively reach. On what basis are you saying that? How do you say that? Assuming we can reach 10%. So do not assume. I don't want you to assume, right? You remember the lesson that we spoke half an hour ago? Assuming is making an ass out of you and me. So don't say that, okay, there's such a big market. Of that, 10% is so easy. It's very difficult. Selling is not an easy job. It takes a lot of effort. So don't just go randomly defining your market size. My first business failed because I assumed there was a market without actually talking to my end customers. I built products for them which they did not want. And that's how I failed, and I lost almost 7 million Indian rupees. So do not assume. SOM is the portion that you can come out of it. Yes, mathematically, those things look great, but on an investment deck, it may not be something that you would want to. There are some questions that are on the screen. I will probably not answer them right now. Let me take how to define a TAM, SAM, SOM for a product like Instagram or Facebook. Yeah, so for a product like Instagram or Facebook, the numbers may be really phenomenal big, because it could be all the youngsters between the age of, let's say, 18 and 30 is my TAM. The serviceable attainable market is all the youngsters in that category who have access to a smartphone, and the serviceable obtainable market in that category might be all the youngsters in that category who like to share their thoughts and their day-to-day life with other people, which might be a very vague percentage to talk about. There are other ways by which you can work on it, which, given the time constraints we have today, we may not go into detail, but broadly, this is how you would categorize. And you might narrow it down based on certain parameters. Say, for example, my SAM or SOM can only be out of this large group, only girls who are in the age of 21 to 25, because they are the ones who will probably use my beauty product or whatever kind of a thing, right? Okay. Thank you so much, Prathamesh. Jen Spetkar, please. Yes. So all the other people on the call whom I am not going to be picking up to talk about, Jen Spetkar, TAM, every pet person in the world. Again, it's a very bombastic target, Jen Spetkar, Jennifer Arteta, right? So every pet person in the world means almost close to 6 billion people. It's a huge market, right? It's realistically, you're not going to be able to do it, right? So when you say people that can afford pet care, you have to define what is affordability. For me, it could be $1,000 per month for my pet, but for someone, it could be only $10 per month per pet. So try to give the currency and the unit in a very specific way, so that you're able to define it in a much more narrower way. Don't be very generic when you define these things. So with that, we come to the fourth part, which is the Eureka movement, where Archimedes ran around nude in his entire city. Hey, Eureka, Eureka. So this is where you talk to the investor or talk to the audience saying that, hey, there is this problem. There are so many people who have this problem, but don't worry, we have the solution. And here's our solution. So what do? You try to talk about why your solution is unique. You try to, probably as a step in between, you can also talk about what are the other solutions available today. So the other solutions are ABC, but the problem with those solutions are XYZ. And hence, my team and I have found this perfect solution for this business, which we feel, or for this problem, which we feel is the ideal way to take this forward. So talk about why you are unique. Talk about the innovation that you have in your business. What have you done innovatively? How is your business protectable? How is it that what you're doing cannot be copied by anyone else, which we will talk in detail a little later on as well. Also very important as to why now and why the current situation. For example, there have been companies which tried to do what Airbnb did 20 years ago, but they were not able to be successful. Why was Airbnb successful? Because it was a time when people started traveling internationally much. It was a time when the internet took up. There were more people having smartphones in their hand. So, for example, 20 years ago, someone tried to do something similar to Facebook, which was Orkut. If any of you remember, in the 1996, 97, 98, there was something called as Orkut, which was before Facebook. But why did Facebook take off? Because this market atmosphere was right when they entered it. So as you define why you are different, you also need to define why is it now the right time for you to do. For example, in the cervical cancer example, their solution is to create a pap smear test that women can do at the safety of their house rather than going to a doctor or a gynecologist and feeling embarrassed to do a pap smear test, which is a very intrusive test kind of a thing. So go ahead and go to your worksheet again and try to tell me two things. One, on the form, you need to understand now that there are two things that you need to fill. One is what are the current alternatives to your solution. So let's say, for example, Instagram. What are the current alternatives to Instagram that are there? But the problem with those things are this, and hence I have come with something called pentagram, and that's my product, right? Which is your Eureka moment. So go ahead and fill in what are the current available solutions, why they are not suitable. Are there any things that your target customer can replace with your product to overcome the problem that he or she faces? Okay, there is no train between Chicago and Washington. Okay, is there a road? Okay, that's an alternative. So that is what you mean by alternative solutions. And then I have found this new method of transporting people using drones, and that's the Eureka moment that I'm talking about. So go ahead and fill in what alternatives are there to your business and what is the Eureka moment. The alternatives may not necessarily be direct alternatives. Abhishek has filled all the forms and submitted. So Abhishek, the whole idea is for you to take inputs. If you have done it, great. But if you can go along with the flow, it might be much more easier for you to get feedback as well and tweak it. But no problem, you can still go back and edit. So go ahead and fill in. Gordon, where do I see the numbers to the number of people who have filled in? Okay, I can see companies responding equal to 66. Cool. Let's pick up one company. Let's say Tech ICP. No, they have still not found, so they'll be giving me the solution. Let's say Spring Care. Spring Care is not filling. Hermes Automotive has not filled in. Go ahead and fill in your answers. Okay, so my friends from what is this company? Web 3.0 Music NFT Distribution and Marketplace. Fantiger Music NFT is available. They work on Fiat, which is Polygon chain. Yeah. Okay, so Fantiger Music, or rather Web3 Music, right? You have to be a little cautious when you are using terms that may be, or acronyms like FIAT. I do not know what FIAT is. Maybe the people who are sitting in the investment room might also not know that. So especially in a first meeting or a first pitch, it's always better to make it a little more simpler and clearer so that they're able to relate to what you're trying to do. So available, they work on Fiat, which is Polygon chain, but our marketplace will work on Ethereum chain. So the key thing that you're trying to talk about is that there are other solutions, but they all work on a different technology, which is not as universal as what you are trying to do. So try to make it in that simple way, saying that they're using something that may not be as universal, and we have come up with something that can be universal, that can be plug and play with any kind of technology or any system. Hey Joyce, nice to see you on the screen. Cool. And whenever I see all these senior people from the TiE mentorship, I'm a little scared and a little nervous as to what I utter, right? Yeah, cool. So let's get into the fifth component of what you do on your investment deck. This is the slide where you talk in a little more detail about your business or your product, but it's from a 30,000 feet view. You don't give them all the data, all the information as to how it works, but you give them a sense of how the business model works, how the architecture works, or how the product works, just so that the investors are able to get an understanding. So you can do it either with a graph or a diagrammatic representation saying that, okay, there is something that comes into the exchange system. We also get reports from dealers and brokers in the form of Excel sheets and Word and PDFs. All this goes into our API or our architecture where it is processed. And then this is shared with the insurance company. This is an architecture for a product that's for insurance company. So take around 30 to 40 seconds to explain how your product or your business works, but not really from a technical perspective, but more from a perspective of a end user. Or like, for example, in the case of the cervical cancer pap smear test, they show their products. So, and they also show the seal that says patented. So now the investor is getting validation that, hey, these people are not talking in the sky and they're not building sand castles. They have something concrete, And by showing that they already have a product that's in the market, they're bringing in more concreteness and bringing in more credibility to what they're trying to do. So on the form, just take like a keep a benchmark of 50 words to explain what your product does or how it works. Go ahead. On the service. Of course, this is only for today. In your pitch, you may need to talk a little more about it. You might have a graph or a visual for it, but primarily try to read what your product does from a very non-technical perspective, from a 30,000 feet view kind of a thing. Veera, this should be 30,000 feet view. Yeah, go ahead and fill it in, and then we could talk about it a little later on as well. Let me see if someone else has answered. Okay, someone put on chat. Earth loop. Yes, my friend. Earth loop. Earth loop. Earth loop. Where is Earth loop? Doug, I can't see Earth loop on the form. Have you filled it as? Have you filled the name as something else? Wait, let me allow you to unmute. Yes, Doug, I can't see Earth loop on my list. Is the name of the company something else? Doug? Oops, where's my friend Doug? You can unmute yourself, Doug, now. You're still on mute. You're still on mute.
Yeah, I'm definitely filling it out, but I'm filling it out on the internet through the Google.
Okay. No. You need to go and click submit every time you fill it up, and then again go and edit your response. So
I've done that. I've done that, but I'm doing it on the link that you put in the chat.
So did you submit?
Submit.
Yes, you hit submit and then again go and edit your response every time so that it keeps coming here. I can't see Earth loop here. So
there you go. It's there.
Okay, let me do a refresh and let me check if I can see Earth loop here. Not yet. Okay, maybe at the end of the session you can on the chat.
Stay on Doug. We'll find it at the end, and then Gordon, if you can spot anything, put something in chat. But
wonderful. Yeah. So once you have kind of set the context, comes the real big deal, which is where you talk to the investors or the audience about where are you going to make money from? How is your business going to make money from? Is it going to be, from customers who are going to be paying directly, or is it going to be indirectly through advertisements? How will you collect the money from them? How will you charge your customers? What's your revenue model? Or sometimes the word business model also is used to connotate your revenue stream. So this is a very critical thing to explain. There are different ways in which you earn. If it's a one-off sale, it's an asset sale, you make money out of it. Sometimes you make money by charging a usage fee. Sometimes you make money by charging a subscription fee. And advertising, Facebook works on advertising. Sometimes companies like Rolls-Royce work on renting or leasing their engines to aircraft carriers. Companies like Microsoft work on licensing their software to companies. It could also be a brokerage fee. So define how your company earns money or will make money by solving this problem that you stated. Go ahead and use the form to talk about your revenue. How will you make money? Who will pay for the? You also need to define who will pay for it, because sometimes the user and the payer may be two different people, right? So the user for Facebook is me, but the person who's paying or paying Facebook to let me use Facebook is the advertiser, right? So clearly define how you'll make money and also define who will pay the money, because this will kind of set the context as to what are the limitations in that cash flow or in that income or that revenue generation that's going to happen. Go ahead and fill it. I can see a lot of people who are sending me private messages saying that take out my company. Please do understand that we are on a limited time, so I will try to do justice overall. But don't worry, in a week, each one of you who has filled it out properly today will get the gift of feedback. My team will take up each of those worksheets. We will give you feedback as to what we think can be done to improve it. And then we will also share it with the mentors from your TiE chapter who will go further and also give more feedback. So don't worry about not getting feedback today. Yeah, you will get feedback. Relax. Wonderful. So if you have done the revenue slide, The seventh slide is the traction slide, which is basically to validate whatever you're saying that I am not talking the air, but I've already achieved certain numbers. Some of the points that you can talk about are the different milestones that you have reached. What are the different numbers you have achieved? I have sold so many products. I've got so many customers, or I have done so many beta tests. There are so many users who have downloaded my beta version of my software. If you have some success stories saying that, hey, we rolled this out for Boeing, and this is the feedback that Boeing gave us before we rolled out this product to the market. If you have some testimonials from your customers, you could fit in them. A white paper that says that, hey, okay, I don't have a customer, but based on all the research that we did and based on all the prototyping or the market research that we did, these are the data points. So primarily what this slide does, the traction slide does, is to give the confidence to the investor or the audience that whatever you're saying has some kind of credibility and validity in the market. So for many of you who are young startups who still have just an idea, you may not have a traction in terms of numbers. For you, the slide would relate to the number of people you have spoken to about your product, the number of people who have said that they used your product and it was good, or they used your service. So if you've done some market testing, talk about that data. Or if you have only one customer with whom you worked on it, go ahead and showcase that customer and tell what were the benefits and the pain points that that customer had, and then showcase it. The idea is you're trying to build in a persona saying that, okay, this person came with a problem, he came with a solution, he also has a way to make money, and he's already doing it. So I can show you a slide here, which is kind of a good slide to talk about traction, saying that we started in so-and-so year, and today we have so many employees. We launched the SaaS product here. We already have 20 plus revenue generating customers. And out of those customers, we have already $3 million plus. And we all have 80 jobs in pipeline. So now as an investor, I'm excited. Wow, I want to be part of this success journey, is what you're trying to do with the traction slide. So go ahead and on your form, fill in the traction slide. Validate your claims by showcasing some existing customers or whatever, or showcasing if you've got, let's say, a certification from an agency that's the authority in the domain that you're working on, or someone said Ethereum, right? So if you've got Ethereum to say that, hey, this particular product or service works great on our platform, go ahead and showcase that. Take 30 seconds or a minute and try to fill it out. 9:55 IST. So I have.
Pradeep, while you're waiting the next 3 seconds, there's a great question. What if we're an ideation, and what do we show for traction?
Yeah, so if you're an ideation, traction can be shown by comparing it with similar products that could be there in the market. Let's say, for example, we are right now talking about this technology, but something very similar was done in Atlanta or was done in Antarctica, kind of a thing. For me to say if I can connect the dots, as my friend Steve Jobs would say, you go back and then you connect the dots. So you can use a reference point of something that's very similar to what you're trying to do. You could also use the reference point of your theoretical studies that you have done. So like physics has theoretical physics, right? So there is practical physics, and then the application physics and theoretical physics. So you could do something on the basis of the theories as well. Prathamesh, I hope you got the answer for that. Yeah, give me a thumbs up if you got the answer. I can't see you on the screen. Yeah, cool. The idea is for the audience or the investor to understand that you're not just talking the air, and you really mean what you're talking about. The next slide or the next section is the go-to-market strategy. Please note, the word is go-to-market strategy and not go-to-market tactics. So people don't want to listen to you saying that we will do digital marketing, we will buy billboards in the whole state, and then we will advertise. What they really want to know is, how are you going to reach your end customer? What are the channels you're going to use? How will you connect to your end customer? Make them understand that there's this kind of great product or great service or great business that you can do. How will you find your customers? Where will you find them? Do you have something that's going to be cost effective? Do you have something that's also going to be sustainable for you to reach to the customer? You can't go and say that, okay, I'll spend billions of dollars and do advertising and marketing. Okay, that's great. But is it sustainable? Is it cost effective? I do not know. So try to articulate some unique innovations that you have done so that you're able to reach your customers. Just for you to understand an easy example. Right now, I'm doing this workshop because I'm a volunteer at TiE University. But I also do similar workshops for startups who are incubated in large incubators like Y Combinator. That is my go-to-market strategy. When I position myself as an expert in pitch decks, they automatically come to me whenever they think of an investment deck. And that's my go-to-market strategy. I don't do advertising. I don't do marketing. I don't do sales. So is there a strategy that you and your team have found by which you will be able to reach your end customer? Okay, go ahead and fill it. And Doug, I want to acknowledge that I've got your link. I will have a look at it and I will give you some feedback in some time, Doug. Thank you. Other than toxic products, only one SuperZilla is a new product that is 80% eco-friendly, but it is still flammable. So, right. So, Doug, you have mentioned we found the secret sauce, but the secret sauce for what? So, I'm assuming from your previous statement that you have made here that the secret sauce is to make sure that it is not flammable, right? So, you don't need to give how the secret sauce works, but you have to tell what the secret sauce does, right? It makes sure that the lube is not flammable, right? And say that through a patented process that we have done, we have found ways by which we can make our loops to be non-flammable or whatever. I'm thinking aloud on the go, but when you make statements like this, make it such a way that the number of questions that arise out of it are very minimal, right? Because the more the questions arise, the more you're digging a hole for yourself and taking people on a different segue. So it's always better to make statements which are crisp, simple, and clear, but are kind of, self-explanatory kind of thing.
You picked the one that I didn't even have an answer for. So that was
okay. Okay. Yeah. So the secret sauce is primarily, what makes you so great as compared to, let's say, the other competitor you spoke about, SuperZilla, right? So what is it that you or your team has created? Let's say it could be a chemical that you found. You can say that I have invented a new method of processing the lubricants. It could be a process innovation. It could be a service innovation. It could be a product innovation. It could be a technology innovation. Don't go into the detail because you don't want them to know your secrets, but you still want them to understand that you have kind of cracked the code.
It's a process and it's a plant-based source.
Wonderful. So kind of, from a very 30,000 feet kind of a view, tell them that, hey, this is a plant-based source and it's a process innovation that we have brought, because they will automatically ask you, why is it that no one else has done it? And that's where your uniqueness comes in, saying that, we are specialists in this and we were able to do it kind of on a way, kind of a thing. Cool. So once you've done
people have been trying for years and they haven't been able to do it. So that's why $500 million gets spent on WD-40 a year, which is toxic. So to find a non-toxic alternative.
We will discuss it one-on-one when we meet once on the Zoom. So we will go there, right? Because they're like right now I can see on my Google form. Hold a second. There are close to what?
It's about 77 companies that are responding.
There are 90 responses. There are 90 responses. Even better. Multiplied by 10 columns. So that's 900 data points that I have to process. I'm sorry. I'm like Superman.
Yeah, I am like Superman. Starbucks coffee, otherwise they'd all send you a $1 Starbucks coupon.
Yes, as an entrepreneur, I think that I am Superman without the underwear over the pant, but I can't process 900 pieces of data at one go. So give me a week's time and we will surely give you feedback. Wonderful. So now we come to the most important slide in a pitch deck, which is the team. Everyone thinks that your product is the hero, your service is the hero, your solution is the hero. No. From my conversations with real investors, including like Dr. Lopez, I have understood that investors primarily look at the founders on the team as the biggest criteria to decide whether they want to fund you or no, because they want to know whether you will take the business to its logical conclusion, you will take it to an IPO, whether you have the credibility, whether you have the honesty, whether you have the sincerity as well, and whether you also have the skill sets needed. So when you talk about the team, talk about try to talk in such a way that they get an insight into the real you and the real team, that these are genuine people, these are people I can depend on, unless until you have like some really big names who are well known all through the world. you need to make people trust you, and trust comes from credibility. Trust comes from the actions that you do. Trust comes from simple things like telling the truth, saying that, hey, I don't know what the secret sauce is. Like my friend Doug said, right? I don't know how to explain it, but I know what it is. Let me tell it to you, and then you help me, kind of a thing. There's this wonderful book, Originals by Adam Grant, where there's one case study. I forget the name of the person, but when he was initially trying to raise funds, he was always telling people what was so great about his product, and no one invested in him. So once he decided he will turn the tables, and he said, I will give you 5 reasons why you should not invest in my business. So the moment he showed vulnerability, all the investors jumped in trying to be superhumans and trying to solve his problem. Because when people show vulnerability, people want to show that they are higher and they are better off by giving solutions. And in that way, he got the investors to get engaged in him. His company was bought over by Disney for, I think, $250 million. So that's where, your genuineness comes in. But as far as the team slide is concerned, try to talk about why each of you is a critical component of the team. What is it that you bring onto the table? Just photographs and names of your team will not do anything, because I have no clue what you can do for the company. I want to know what can you do for the company. So go ahead and tell me what your background is. What have you achieved in life? What are the experiences that you have? If you come from some institutions that are really big, like probably a Harvard or a Stanford, sometimes the name can do the trick. If you have worked with a large company like Coca-Cola in the past, then you're building your credibility. So add those to your slides, but try to keep them as minimal as possible. For example, in this, maybe I might not talk about their educational degrees, because it really doesn't matter. If you're talking to me that you're creating a vaccine for cervical cancer, it goes without saying that you probably have the education for it. So I don't want to really go into it unless until you are like someone from a totally different track. So here, for example, this person has said, I worked in Coca-Cola, so now I know he or she understands supply chain better. This person says he or she worked with Chirate, which is an investment firm. So I understand that, okay, he or she understands the investment game a little better. So go ahead and on your form, fill in your team and the go-to-market. I think we didn't also fill the go-to-market. So go ahead and take a minute and fill the go-to-market and also the team. Again, right now you don't have too much time. So just broadly tell why your team is the right team. It could be that one of your team members has a patent to a particular technology. It could be anything. Yep. Go ahead and fill that out.
And there's a great question in chat that says, I'm the only member founder. Talk about maybe how to put in advisors and other part that become there for ancillary members.
Vikrant, very, 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 very good question, because, and maybe I'm biased, but it's based on my conversations. Typically, investors and even normal business people would like to work with companies where there are other co-founders as well, because if Pradeep is the only founder and Pradeep falls ill, what happens to the company, right? So you would ideally want to have a bigger team. And from my own personal experience of having failed in my second and third venture, I failed because I knew everything about the technical part of the business, but I was clueless about the non-technical part, the managerial parts. So it's always good to have co-founders. If you're not able to get co-founders, find people of great caliber whom you can employ. But the only problem is you'll have to pay them salary, which is like a burning the cash. Or try to find advisors in that particular domain, or try to find collaborators in that particular domain who can fill in those gaps that you cannot fill in. So that's what you can do. And
I have a doubt here, Pradeep, if you may allow.
Yes, Ratik.
Yeah, so I've been going through these slides, and me having been pitched for about now more than a year, it highly becomes impractical to just pitch this in just 6 minutes when a lot of the investors and competitions do ask for. So we do have to leave down a lot of things from the things which you're telling, considering even the team section. So what would you recommend in such situations when you have a very low time frame?
So Ratik, like I said in the beginning, what I'm trying to do in these 13 components is for something that's a 10-minute pitch, right? But depending upon the kind of scenario, sometimes it might even be a 5-minute pitch. Okay, so you may need to remove some of the things that may not make sense. For example, then I would not probably go into the here it works section, because I have set the context, I have set the problem, I have set the magnitude. I want them to say that, okay, hey, this team looks good. Let me go in there. there's a slide that comes after this which talks about numbers, right? I may not need to put that number, especially if I'm at an early stage. So it's a very judgmental thing that you'll have to do, Ratik, depending upon the time that you have. And of course, all the points that I'm telling you here are not necessarily that you have to cover all of them. What I'm trying to do is to give you a structure that think of all these things, try to talk about one point from each of these things so that there's a good connecting story. And then if they say, hey, boss, Ratik, I like what you're saying, come and meet me for an hour, then go and talk about all the things in detail. That's the whole point, right? So that's why I said, don't take everything verbatim. I'm just trying to give a structure because there are 110 of you and each of you is at a different stage of your life, right? So let me do that for it, right? The next part is the operational slide, which is basically a broad 30,000 feet view of the numbers, the major numbers or the major metrics that you want the investor to understand to measure your progress. So for example, in this particular slide, this company wanted to focus on their gross margin and EBITDA, which is like a very regular generic thing. Top line and then bottom line, and what am I doing with that top line and bottom line? So talk about the number of users you have in a particular scenario, what is the revenue that you get out of it, then talk about the gross margin that you get out of it, and then the EBITDA kind of a thing, which is a very generic thing. The other way you could do also is with a graph like this, saying, for example, in this particular year, I will have so many outlets. If I have so many outlets, this is the revenue I will have. And if this is the revenue, this is the bottom line that I might have and the top line I might have. So in a very broad sense, give them an idea of how the business has been progressing, if it's already been in existence, or how you foresee it to progress in the next few years based on some numbers and data that you are able to pull up. Then comes the section where you talk about the entry barriers. What stops Pradeep Yuvraj from copying your business? What are the different ways by which you are able to build a moat around your business? What is it that you have? It could be a patent, for example. It could be a first mover advantage. It could also be a legal thing where in your country, you're the only company which has been given approval by the government to do a certain thing. So what is it that stops anyone else from copying your business is what you talk about in the entry barrier. Corresponding to this, you also talk about the competition, saying that, hey, these are all the different competitions that my product or service has. A competition could be a direct competition. A competition could also be an indirect competition. Say, for example, if I am a company that manufactures electric motorbikes, my direct competition might be competitors who are also building electric motorbikes and electric cycle. But my indirect competition is the public transport of the city. Because what is the alternative my customer has if he or she does not buy my electric bike? He or she can take the public transport. He or she can take the tube. He or she can take a bus. So those are all my indirect competition. So in this component, you talk about your entry barriers and your direct competition and indirect competition. Maybe take 30 seconds to fill in that slide now, or if you don't want to do it now, let's finish off because we are at like 10 minutes. Beyond the scheduled closure, you can go ahead and fill it. And like I said, I will give you feedback one-on-one. And then finally comes a slide where you do the ask. At the end of the day, you are making the pitch because you want or you expect something out of the whole conversation. But please be aware that maybe for some of you on this call, at least, you may not necessarily have a fund ask because you're at a very, very early stage. So you really don't want money. What you may need is probably technology. What you may need is probably advice. What you may need is probably consulting. What you may need is a team. What you may need is a is a network, right? So, but if there's a specific fund that you want to ask, go ahead and talk about the fund. Be very clear what is the exact quantum of money that you want. But more importantly, be very clear what are you going to do with that fund that you're raising. Because people don't want to come up with random numbers. They're scared when you come up with random numbers. Give very clear reasons why you need that quantum. And don't be afraid if the quantum is big. If yours is like a heavy engineering company, you will need lots of money, right? So don't be scared of asking lots of money. Otherwise, you will end up raising multiple rounds and you will spend most of your energy raising money and not running your business. At the same time, don't ask too less as well. So be very clear what's the purpose of this fundraise and what are you going to do with that fund. So for example, in this particular slide, I'm talking about my $3.5 million as my raise. Why am I using this raise? Because I want to spend some dollars on my infrastructure, to some dollars to productize my business, and some dollars to expand my team, right? So the purposes could be different for each team. Try to find what is the purpose for which you need money. It could be to buy technology. It could be anything else. Overall, these are the 12 key components that you would require, both from a 10-minute pitch perspective as well as this competition perspective also. So, like I said, I'm trying to balance two needs. One is the perspective of a startup trying to raise money by getting into pitches, and also a startup that is in this pitch competition trying to win the competition as well. Once you've done this, there are some things that you can have as an appendix. One is an exit strategy. How are you going to give your investor an exit? Are you going to buy out their shares? Are you going to do an M&A, or are you going to do an IPO, which may be too early for many of you on this call. So we will not go into detail into that. You could also talk about, from your business model canvas, which are the key partnerships that are relevant for your business. And if you have a product that's running and you have a demo, go ahead and show the demo as well. Some things that you can carry along, because no one is going to take a decision immediately, is a one-page printed out executive summary, a couple of sheets of business modeling or financial modeling to say that in different scenarios, what will my business do? How will it perform? And if you have some solid market research to validate whatever you said, carry that as a printout as well. But all of these things are only used when there's a need or there's a specific question from the investor, kind of a thing. So with that, we come to the end of the baker's dozen, with the bottom line saying that whenever you do these pitches, do it with passion or don't do it at all. People want passionate people around them. Investors want passionate founders to work with them, and they want to put their money on people who are really passionate and who can bring their idea to success or fruition. Which brings us to the next component of the fundraise game, which is the elevator pitch. I call it the get the business card talk. You meet me on an elevator and you have like 15, you meet an investor on an elevator and you have like 30 seconds or a minute, to talk to them about your business. And at the end of the day, the goal of that is to get their business card or probably get a meeting with them to do the 10-minute pitch. So it's like a teaser of a teaser. So how should an ideal elevator pitch be? Very simple, very crisp, and somehow have a wow factor, saying that, oh, wow, I want to know more. That's the mental answer that you want from the investor. On this slide, I have put an ideal structure of an elevator pitch. I'm sorry for using the word ideal, but it's somewhere close to ideal, kind of a thing, right? So you kind of set the context by talking about your putting your name and your company name, and then you kind of throw in a challenge or a surprise or a question saying that, did you know, blah, 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 blah. 8 Indian women die. 1 Indian woman dies every 8 minutes. And then say that, but by the way, we produce a vaccine that will help them overcome this challenge of cervical cancer. And we feel that there's a huge market of $160 billion for this in the next 6 months that can be tapped, provided we get some funding. And we already have 10 hospitals who have signed up with us and are using our product already on their patients. We would like to have a conversation with you. Can I get an appointment with you? Kind of, that's all. So the call to action is either get their business card so you can send them a detailed mail or a document, or to get their interest peaked so much they say, okay, after we get down from the elevator, let's go to the coffee shop and let's have a cup of coffee, kind of a thing. So that's the elevator pitch for you. On the form, again, I have given the first tab is the elevator pitch. Whenever you find time today and tomorrow, I'll give you time for the next 24 hours to go ahead and fill it for us to give feedback. But broadly, like I said, this can be the ideal structure. Very simple, 30-second kind of a talk. Nothing about what you do, how you do, but just something that kind of piques the interest of the person. There's something also called as a pitch book. A lot of startups ask us this question that, hey, presentation designers and design thinkers tell us that our slides should be clutter-free, that there should be very limited content on the slide, only images. Then how do I send it to an investor and how will he understand? So there is a concept called as a pitch book, which is a more verbose version of your pitch deck, where let's say you have a script for your pitch deck, you send it out to them, along with some visuals to validate it. But be sure that you don't put in visuals that are there in a slide, because then it becomes redundant because they've already seen it. And then you're again showing it. And then the typical tendency is, hey, I've seen this, next slide. Hey, I've seen this, next slide. So you as a presenter, your flow goes for a toss. So it's a tricky task. But more recently, what I've understood from my customers is that investors, all that investors are asking is for a one paragraph or half a page of a document. They're not even having the time to read a pitch book. So a pitch book may become very redundant very soon. But a pitch book is a document that can be mailed out. A pitch deck ideally should have very minimal words, just visuals, and you have to be the storyteller because you, as the founder, is the hero of the presentation, right? And the final document, like I said, is the one pager, which very recently I had a few of my customers call up and say, my investors don't even want a one pager, they want a half pager, right? So it has to be very crisp what business you are, what's the opportunity. It's like a little bigger version of your elevator pitch kind of a thing, right? So these are the 4 elements. I know we have kind of rushed with some of them, but I've kind of given broad. There's not much for you to even take away from the pitch book because the pitch book is nothing but a summary. But if you look at it from a very broad perspective, once you clearly create your pitch deck, from that you can easily distill your elevator pitch, and from that you can easily devise your pitch book, and from that you can usually devise your one-page summary. So if you want to do this as an exercise with your team, use the form that I've given, fill in that data. Once the data comes to us, we will click a button and you will get a PDF of it. So you are able to look at it. Some thoughts might have come to you today based on my conversations. Don't forget those thoughts, take them, and then try to refine what you're trying to do, right? It's been a pleasure talking to all of you. My name is Pradeep Yuvraj. That's my Instagram handle and my LinkedIn handle. And with that, we come to the end of the session, 18 minutes beyond time. But I'm here for the next 10, 15 minutes if you want to stay over to ask questions. And in the meantime, my good Dr. Lopez wants you to also give the poll. And also maybe if you can put in the feedback form, Dr. Lopez, into the chat.
Let's have just finish the poll and then we'll do the feedback form. So stick around for 5 minutes. We'll talk about what happens next. It's all been good info, so we didn't want to end it just by being on time, but not. And then we'll stay around and answer questions for you. So here is poll number 2, same question. We're hoping now that you will answer the same question. If the pitch competition is being conducted next week, my team's readiness to pitch on the same scale, 1 to 10, is as follows now versus about an hour and a half ago, right? So please fill it in, as many of you can. I see about 80 of you here, or 70 probably, irrespective of whether you're a team coach, mentor, team member, somebody who isn't part of the competition. Please fill it out because we're going to give you another 10 seconds. So take an answer and we'll see how it goes. Hopefully we've moved. The good news is the one person who marked a 1, Pradeep, is no longer marking that or has left. One of the 2. And most of the answers were 5, 6s, and 7s. And we said we were hoping we would get 8s, 9s, and 10s. So starting in 3, 2, 1, let's see how they're doing. Here we go. And we'll share the results, mostly pretty much in that the average has now moved way up, probably in the 8s and 9s at this point, right? If you're able to see that. So thank you. We do have one last piece for you to do, and then we'll tell you what happens next, because we don't want you to feel like this was just an hour and a half in your life and we're not connected to you, because you've now entered and become part of the TiE University ecosystem. So with that said, would like you, Pradeep, if you could have your team put in Yes,
Veera will put that in. Yeah. Veera, why don't you just take a screenshot of the results?
Well, no, more importantly, let's not go there. Let's get the feedback form. So, and Veera, put in the https:// in front, because otherwise it's not a clickable link. We do ask that you all take 2 minutes while we cover some great gifts for you. One of the gifts, in fact, here we go. I think that is, so there you are. There is a before and after. Veera, Pradeep. And you can see we probably moved everybody about 2 notches up. This is about my quick eyeball way of looking at it. Right? I'm trying to tell a story instead of use numbers now that you've covered what you did. And here's a gift for all of you that we will, in the next 24 to 48 hours, send you a couple of things. Everything you heard today is part of something called a pitch deck outline. It's got the slides. If you wanted to watch a different video of Pradeep presenting the same thing, which he did a year ago, there's a bit.ly link of that. It'll just be a reinforcement. But the good news is We're also this afternoon or tomorrow going to upload the current recording to YouTube, and we'll send you that so you can watch both this one if you feel, hey, I want to get a little different flavor. We'll also send you last year's video done by Pradeep, a little less rushed. So he had a full 2 hours, and you'll be able to do that through this bit.ly link. Good news is here in TiE Atlanta, we've been partnering with Pradeep and TiE Coimbatore for a while. We've got several reference materials, the business model canvas, the business plan summary, pitch decks. All of this is in a bit.ly bit.ly TiE ATL for Atlanta shed folder. In there, you'll find a lot of tidbits. By tomorrow, the video for today will be uploaded. So give it another day or so to let us get everything in there. And with that, I know that we kept you longer. Thanks, first of all. I believe almost 80 companies submitted information, Pradeep. So you got a lot of work to do this coming week. I don't know if you got clients that really pay you money that you got to service as well, but I know you and your team will do a terrific job. We'll also let you, most of you will get something back. If you filled out anything, you will get one column with your data, and the feedback will come over the next week on an additional column to you. So with that said, we're at the end of our session officially. We'll end the recording at this point. We'll stay around, ask questions, and we hope you've had a terrific, turned out what we thought would be 90 minutes, but it's probably more like 105. But thank you so much for spending your Saturday with us. Over and out, and all the best, not only whether you're part of the competition, but just as an entrepreneur. Thank you so much.
I'm here for the next 10-15 minutes. If there are certain questions that you would like to take up, we could answer them.
Recording stopped.
Yeah, you can you can raise your hands, and then I'll ask you to unmute, and you can ask them rather than putting it on chat. Yeah, go ahead.
Thank you.
So raise your hands. Yes, Doug.
Thank you. Bye.
Pleasure. Thank you so much. Please do fill in the feedback form as well. It will help us refine it for future sessions.
Let's get everybody to turn their videos on, because we're going to have Pradeep's team take some photographs, etc. So this is the time where we tell everybody this is what we do, which is network, etc. If you, in addition to raising your hand, put a question in chat. We'll try and answer as many of them between Gordon, Pradeep, myself, team Presentum. So don't feel like, hey, you're taking a long time with a verbal question. So Pradeep, you take the verbal ones. We'll try and answer the ones in chat.
Sure. Yes, Ikachiku, please. Did I pronounce your name right?
Yes. Ikachiku
Cool.
is correct. I wanted to follow up on the question I had in the chat earlier that Mr. Paul Lopez kind of touched on. It's kind of like the difference between Dr. Paul Lopez, the difference between alternatives and direct and indirect competition. He said that it's ones that have not gone to market yet. So would that be like other startups maybe, or like would it just like I'm kind of having a hard time like differentiating the two between
right. So to simplify it, Ikachiku, I think the fundamental bottom line that you have to understand is, if my customer or my end user or the customer segment does not have my product or my service, what is it that they can do to solve the particular problem that they have? Let me simplify it in a very, very simple way, and then probably you can extrapolate it. Let's say, for example, you are Coca-Cola, right? And I am a fan of Coca-Cola, but I don't get Coca-Cola, let's say, in Coimbatore. And talking to someone in Atlanta, it's a wrong question, right? So I feel like drinking an energy drink or drinking a carbonated drink. So a direct alternative is Pepsi, but an indirect alternative is also for me to get some, let's say if I'm in Germany, I get some sparkling water and add some sugar and syrup to it and replace it if I don't get Coca-Cola, right? So anything that can take up the space of what you are trying to solve, either in a way that's very, very directly similar to what you're trying to do, or it could be in an indirect way. So a Coca-Cola and sparkling water with syrup are not the same things. But at that point of time, it's still competition for me. So how can I eliminate that competition? That's the perspective with which this particular slide or this context is used. Did I make myself clear?
Yeah, that was clear.
Thank you so much. Good. Mohammed Jawad.
Yeah.
First of all, thank you so much for the session. It was really informative and I learned a lot of things. I'm running a software startup named as Tech Studio, where my first product is going to be Woo Drive, which is a ride-sharing app specifically made for women. Women will be
Mohammed, एक minute. Mohammed, एक minute. I'm not able to hear you well. There's some crackling sound coming.
uh, okay. Can you hear me now?
हाँ, बोलिए.
Yeah, so I was telling that I'm running a software startup where our first product is going to be Woo Drive. So this is an application where only women will be able to book rides, and they will the drivers will also be women. So how would you rate this idea, first of all? Because this is just an idea at the moment. We are going to
Okay.
develop it very soon.
So I can't tell it's a good idea, bad idea, but what I can tell you is it's something that's probably specifically suited to countries like India and Pakistan,
Yes, yeah,
or
definitely.
third world countries. In fact, in the city that I live in, Coimbatore, which is in South India, we have something called as the pink taxi. The value proposition is this: that the drivers will be women, even the operators will be women, and it's only for women, kind of a thing. So yes, there is a need, but they tried the same thing in a city called Trivandrum in Kerala, which is supposed to be even more progressive in India, and they failed miserably because one, getting women drivers is a very difficult task.
Yes.
And two, sometimes women feel that if there's a male driver, they are more safer, especially when they're driving in the night. So it's a lot of perspectives that you will have to manage, Mohammed. And what I would suggest is, do a market research, try to get a big data set, ask them whether would they really be there. And the second thing for you in Pakistan, especially, would also be कितने औरतें driver बनना चाहेंगी? How many people would want to become a driver? That's a question, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
you need to look at that. Yeah. Thanks.
Thank
Good.
you so much.
Yes, my friend Ratik. Once more. Yes.
Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot. First of all, so I would do want to mention that you have been explaining really well to all the panels over here, and love from Ahmedabad to you. So now, sir, I would want to ask you that we are actually at the verge of closing our Series A Part 2, and we are finding it very difficult right now because of the pre-valuation that we have. We are trying a level best to justify that with our traction that we have, but yet I have a very amazing conversation. Even the coffee which you're talking about, I do have elevator pitches, and it turns out to a coffee date. And apparently, after that, we do also follow up on a lot of emails, but things are not turning out in the end.
So if I'm to understand your customer question right, Ratik, basically because your pre-valuation was high, now you're not able to get investors. Is that the point that you're trying to make?
No. Initially, at the stage when I had the valuation, it was something around 4.44 crores. But now we have been able to justify it, and now the valuation report that we have is more than 10 crores. So right now we are seeking for around, in this next round, we are seeking around 12 crores.
Okay.
I mean, at the valuation, which is justifiable. It is justifiable. But I am finding it very difficult to now continue this conversation and convert it into a deal. I'm not being able to convert it into a deal.
So I have 2 points, but which may not directly answer what you're trying to tell, right? Like today morning, I had a conversation with a gentleman who used to head the fundraising for Aegon Insurance. Okay, he made a statement saying that there's a lot of debate about valuation, and whatever the market might say that some companies are overvalued or some companies are undervalued. At the end of the day, the valuation is not just about numbers; it's also about the vision of the founder and the entrepreneur, which sometimes could be justified quantitatively, sometimes cannot be. It's like my business, right? As a creative, I can tell that my painting is worth $1,000, or I can think that it's valued $10,000 as well. It's a notional value that I have, but you have to show your passion and show probably some track record to prove that, to justify. The other thing I would suggest, Ratik, is to engage a very good person who has good knowledge of the financial domain to really justify that valuation and create those numbers. Don't go to your auditor. Most of the startups in India go to auditors. Auditors are primarily post-mortem guys who do stuff after everything has happened. So try to find someone who's like a really good financial strategist. Maybe let's connect offline. We can connect you to TiE Ahmedabad, where you can find some people who could consult you on that and answer that specific question. Yeah.
Sure.
Thank you so much, Ratik. Yes, Mr. Harsh Malik. You're on mute. And should I say Mulik or Malik?
Mullik.
Maulik, right? Cool. Ji, boliye.
Thank you very much for a really wonderful presentation. My question is something like this. So we are just getting into our seed round for raising our seed round, and I face investors from India, and I
Okay.
also face investors in the US who are not Indian. Okay. I understand the importance of the emotional angle, but we work with two kinds of technologies. One is behavior technology, which a lot of people think we change human behavior, but which we don't. But the point is, we work with behavior technology on the one hand, and on the other hand, we work with diabetes as well. My question is this: I am always trying to drive a balance between the emotional content and the emotional impact, and the financial story, which is what an eventually investor wants. So without trying to get into a philosophical discussion, I was wondering if you had some bullet points to how do you drive the balance when you need to drive such a balance, because different people have different perceptions of behavior, for example.
Yeah, so it's a very big question that needs a lot of time to answer per se. But let me make it a little easier. What I can do, Mr. Mullik, is see. There are a couple of good books that would help you, solve this a little better. So I will suggest those books to you now. One is this book called Made to Stick by Chip Heath and Dan Heath, which kind of really simplifies the whole process of how do you bring in that balance. Made to Stick. And the other one is this book called A Whole New Mind by Daniel Pink. These are very old books, but I think they will kind of give you 40% of the answers that you're looking at. And the remaining 60%, I'm not able to recollect them on the top of my mind, but the moment I recollect them, I will mail them out to you. So please send out a mail, or you saw my LinkedIn, send me a text message, and I would more than be happy to do it. Yeah.
Perfect. Exactly what I wanted. Thank you so much.
Sure. Yes, Harish Naik. Bola. Marathi आहेत का?
Konkani.
Konkani. Okay. My Konkani is not so great. Go ahead, Harish.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir, for answering. I have two quick questions. One is relating to the topic that we have today, and one is not. So the first one is there was a slide which says, what is the entry barrier? How is your idea different? So I will talk about my idea. So I have got enough validation that the idea is good enough to start working with. I did some survey with students across India, and all of that is going great. But then somewhere I think that the idea is not that defensible as well. It is not something very unique, but it is something that no one is doing right now. So how important it is to have a really unique idea which no one can copy?
So there are certain ideas that Harish, maybe, like around a month ago, I was part of a large hackathon, and there were 10 teams who were all trying to solve the same problem. And each of them thinks that they're the only one doing it. Okay. So there are going to be people doing there. For a situation where you say that it's not something very, very extraordinary, the best thing is to go to the market, get as many customers as fast as possible, and be at a level that even if 100 people come as competitors, you're still far ahead of the curve. So it's like a running race, run as fast as possible. So go hit the market fast, go meet your customers, be there in the market, be a sales guy, the first mover advantage. That's what I think that's the only thing that can solve it, because sometimes we know of companies which have patents, but then there are competitors which find loopholes in those patents, and then they find something else and do it. So it's always about how fast and nimble you are, and that's what will help you. Yeah.
Yeah, that's great. I really wanted to hear that. The second question is, okay, so now that I've started and now that I'm going to different pitching competitions, currently I work alone. So everything that I do, I don't have an actual good team. So I need a team that is good at tech. So I contacted these few guys, and I have like 3-4 coders for me who do the work, but they're pretty immature at it, let's say. So I need someone who is really that good to pull off the tech that I am planning to have. So how do I find a co-founder? I send people mails on LinkedIn. I go to different website. I go to this
Pradeep, let's do this. If we can keep the questions primarily to pitching and so on. Harish, we're not going to answer. Just keep them at the end, because there are people asking more generic questions. If you'll stick around, we'll make sure you get an answer. Great question, by the way. Let's keep it more to this topic. Huh?
Yeah, Aditya, go ahead. Harish, you already have a co-founder. Someone called DevPro Pratham has connected with you, so go ahead and connect. Yeah. Yes,
Hey,
Aditya.
yeah.
Okay. Okay, so this again is a kind of question that's a little broader from the current session that we did. But if you strongly feel, Aditya, that what you think is the right valuation and that 15% is the only equity that you want to dilute, just stick on. If it really makes sense, I'm sure the investor will come back. At the same time, don't stop with that one investor. Now that you know that he has come down from 35 to 25, which means he or she sees some value in it. So go ahead and try to leverage that knowledge with other people and say that, hey, we have someone already offering us this. Why don't you come at thing? So because investors also seem to have a herd mentality. If one guy jumps on board, like in India, the classic example was this guy who died right now. What was his name? Junjunwala, right? So if Junjunwala invested in stock A, then everyone else also does it. So it's only being patient till you get that first marquee guy. Once you get that on board, then I think it should be a good job. I see that you're from Mumbai. Connect with TiE Mumbai. They have a lot of good mentors on board. I'm sure they would be able to do more justice to this question that you have, and probably also connect you to TiE India Angels, which is a large network. So probably you can go ahead and do that. Yeah. Super. Yes. Yeah, it's selling tactics, as simple as that. Yeah. So yeah, but there has to be credibility and it has to be validated. You can't just go ahead and say, right? You can't do that. And also, I would say it would be very unethical to use that term sheet to get something else and then probably chuck that person also. So it has to be kind of transparent. Yeah. So that's the point. Yeah. Yes, Prathamesh, bola. So Prathamesh, before you ask a question, you have to promise me that on 24th you will meet me and you will get me sweets or something, and then you will take me around Nagpur. Okay. Done. Yes, Prathamesh, go ahead. Tell me.
Okay, so basically, my question is regarding to the point of team we had in the presentation, right? So the thing is, we are in a team of 4 building Tail Studio, and I'm the only guy who is a technical guy, and I'm teaching my other mates how to do the technical things like in front end, back end, and everything. They are totally like not totally, but they are a little bit non-technical guys. So like, what should I do? Should I continue with the teaching and making them learn everything, or should I just seek some tech guys who can just come on board and help me out?
So I would answer it this way. It's like the 4 wheels of a car, and all the 4 need to be kind of different. They know, although technically not the right example, yeah, but what you really want in a good team is different components. You don't want the same kind of people on your team. No. So stop train. My advice is stop trying to train them to be technical guys. Leverage the strengths they have. One of them might be good in finances, one of them might be good in marketing, one of them might be good in something else, right? Leverage those strengths. So all the 4 of you together, you become a solid team. That's very important because the team has to be really comprehensive. Sometimes it happens that you're so brilliant technologically, but you don't know how to talk to a customer. So you need those kind of people on your team. So don't force fit them into that role. Technology can always be outsourced. So go ahead and use that kind of a thing. Yeah.
Okay.
Cool. Wonderful. So put your number on chat, and I will call you the moment I land in Nagpur. Yes, Gina.
My question is going back to the pitch competition stuff.
Yeah.
Pitch deck, because I'm coaching a team for the first time. Thanks, Paul.
Right.
And they're very early stage startup. They've never done this before, and I'm getting a lot of feedback from this that I'm going to give to them. But then I'm also an entrepreneur myself, which is what I put in the thing. And I have a startup construction check, but we're kind of not at that early stage, we're kind of at that mid stage where we've had like, about $900,000 in funding. We ran out of money and we had to like stop working on our platform because we're out of money. And we've got customers on our platform and we're pitching. I'm wondering, like, in this baker's dozen, is there something different that you do if you're early stage or you're mid stage or you're late stage? Is there some differentiation that you should do when you're talking about it
Right.
that fits into the slide deck? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I got the point. I got the point. See, and to be honest, Gina, this is a question that we have also been discussing and deliberating, because there's not an apple to apple comparison between a startup that's at an early stage and a startup that already has some kind of attraction, right? So how do I judge them from a competition perspective, right? So I judge them by the fact that even though they might be early stage, do I see good vision in the way they are looking at it? Do I see that this business could, with good mentoring, with probably good support, with good hand-holding, move to the next level, right? So in the previous competitions, I have seen teams which were way immature as compared to some of the startups. We were already in probably a revenue of $1 million as well. But then they were so coachable that at the end of the competition, they won the competition, not the one that in the traction. Because from the competition perspective, it is more to support entrepreneurs with their vision kind of a thing.
Yeah.
But coming back to a real life scenario where you are meeting an investor, then the clear demarcation has to be saying that we are at a very early stage, and see if you are ready to dilute that much more because you are at a much early stage. If you're at traction, then the dilution might be much lesser. But if you're at an early stage, then obviously they're going to demand much more in terms of equity, unless until it is something extraordinarily out of the world that they have found out and they are able to create a moat out of it. So that's the answer I would give in that context, But from the competition perspective, they need to probably so for example, in the competition perspective, they can ignore the fund ask slide at all by itself, because it doesn't make sense for them if they're not raising money, but they're trying to build the product now and they need more people. So it could be a ask slide where they ask for technology, ask for partnerships. In fact, we have had a pitch competition in 2021 where a team asked for someone else to collaborate with them, and they collaborated with a team from a different country who was a competitor in the same competition. So that's the thing that they can look at. The slide that talks about numbers can be eliminated. So it's more about storytelling for these guys that, hey, this is where we are today, but this is where we could go to. Can you come with me on the journey? You want to take the judges on that journey kind of a thing. So, yeah. I hope that answered your question a little bit.
And Gina, on the 23rd, our Ask Me Anything touch base call, you'll be hearing from JP James in terms of having been a hedge fund manager. You'll get his perception and you can ask that question again.
Okay, terrific. Thanks.
And Gohan, because you are from the same city as me and because you have access to come to my office, I will not take your question now. Let's go
to a couple of questions so we don't keep people too long on the general competition. So let me sort of first of all, we had I've given you, I think, if not, I'll put it back again, the email addresses for your chapter leadership. They're out of Dubai. I believe you're out of Oman. Are you still here? We had turn your camera on and or speak up, or did you leave? Yep, we had you here. Al Hashmi. Or we're not going to answer your question. There you go.
Yes, I am here.
Okay, good. So did I put into email? Cicely George is the executive director. They've got a calendar. In fact, let me show all of you a calendar in general, and you'll see it's a global calendar. Each chapter sets its own calendar. So with that in mind, I just want to, a couple of you are asking generic questions. So the calendar is set by the chapters through the month of March, and thereafter the global has just been handling all of the intake, so the registration form that all of your teams filled out. At that point, actually, they've left registration open, so there's still some teams coming in. But between now and the end of March, the local chapters are running various kinds of education sessions. They're running, in fact, I believe MENA region is doing a set of educational offerings, just like you heard today between Atlanta and Coimbatore. They will run their local competition with the objective that by the 31 March, they have to deliver the answer to the following question. Who's your best team that will represent you in the global competition? And who are the two runners-up? During the month of April, those three teams will be mentored, given other workshops, boot camps, and the chapter will handle the relationship with all the other teams. We don't want to leave anybody behind. So that is all done in that March-April timeframe. The actual global competition will be hybrid. But for those people going in person, it'll be in Silicon Valley, Santa Clara, California. It will be the very first week of May. And there will be continuous things going on that will also transition teams during that time. I hope that sort of gives you a high-level answer. If you need to know who in your chapter to contact, I'm going to put something in chat. First of all, if you know who it is, please don't write to this generic global. It's university@TiE.org is the generic email, but that goes to somebody, it turns out, in New Delhi, India. And just be aware of that. If you know who your chapter is or you don't know, put that question in chat and we'll give you the email contact of your local chapter leadership. Hope that helps address. I think there were a couple of you that asked about general competition questions. If not, ask the deeper question now. All good? And I see a lot of folks here from different chapters, so the exact chapter calendar is obviously variable. Right?
Sorry, first of all, I would like to thank you for giving us this a chance. And we are from Oman. So
Yep.
only we received this competition now. It is a start from October.
We started taking applications from October, some chapters, but it's been open. The applications for some chapters have closed, the chapters. So the competition didn't start. The applications, think about if you were going to join a university, you can apply for many months, but the classes don't start. So this is the month in which, last month and this month is when the chapters have started doing something. Am I answering your question?
So it is a global competition and we need to come to present our project?
At the local level first, and then 3 teams are picked at the local level to move forward into the global level.
And
so you will be working with
country, I mean.
You are
it
part
is in
of
India.
Okay, no.
Yes,
no.
yes.
Let me see if I say it again. So each local chapter, which covers a region, you are out of something called the MENA region. The TiE Dubai chapter is responsible for the MENA region. They will make a decision about the top 3 teams to go to the global competition. The global competition will be occurring in Silicon Valley, California in early May. And then the local chapter out of Dubai will determine how they will work with you going forward, whether you're part of the top 3 or not. Did I not put the email addresses into chat for you a little while ago? If not, I'll do it now.
Okay, thank you.
Did I do that? No, that was not the right answer to my question. I asked, did you get the email addresses of who to contact at the Dubai chapter?
You mean your email?
Not my email. Okay, I'm in Atlanta, Georgia. You know what, Vida, just stay on. I think we may be just sort of talking. We'll help you out. I'll do it again. I'll put it in chat.
Actually, I am sorry. I'm sorry. I am new and I don't understand how it is going.
No worries. Stay on. We will help you with that. Your English is much better than my Farsi, by the way, or whatever. So, and even Pradeep, who speaks 12 languages, probably. We're going to help you out. Stick around. I tried to get Cicely George to join us. She is out with her son right now. Other questions?
Anyone from Mysuru? We have your representative, Mysuru, also here, Dr. Rao, on the call. So if there's anyone from Mysuru and you want to answer some questions specific to Mysuru, he's here. Nivedita from Coimbatore, Prithviraj, if there's something that you want to ask, but if there's nothing, I'm sure you can go ahead and enjoy your Shivratri and your weekend. You can log off as well. Yep. Cool. Thank you so much for being with us and look forward to seeing you in the competition as we move further. Thank you, Varda Azam.
Thanks, guys.
Allah Hafiz. Allah Hafiz.
I'll talk to you soon.
Pratmesh,
Pradeep, nice meeting you.
Same here, Gina. Look forward to meeting you soon. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye-bye, Prathamesh. Bye-bye. So, Dr. Rao, you just came in or you're just leaving?
No. I was in the TiE program today. We had a TiE program from 6:30 to 9:30. So after that, I joined.
Cool. Thank you. Go on, I'll catch you sometime. Come down to office.
Yeah, hey, sure. Pradeep, maybe first of all, great job, but I believe maybe between you and Gordon, just summarize next steps in terms of getting the initial form back to each person with their responses, and then in a few days getting the additional responses to what they filled in.
Maybe Gordon, you and I can probably talk offline, and we can do that. Gordon, today maybe if it's possible for us to automatically send out the PDFs of their answers, or you want me to do it manually, I can have someone from Presentum do it as well. What do you want me to do?
Yeah. Oh, I wasn't being that specific. I was just saying, can you show a PDF just so people know what they'll be getting initially and then what they'll be getting as another step?
Gordon, can you do the honors, please? Sure. Thank you.
Good. Any other questions while we're waiting for Gordon to pull this up? There we go. Gordon, yeah.
Here's TiE Studio. They've given us a wealth of information. And then Pradeep and his team will be completing the right side, our feedback to each of these elements. And then they'll click a button here that says basically generating the PDF. It'll finish in a second. And the PDF looks like this. And then they'll click another button and this PDF will be sent to the email address that was submitted on the Google form. And it'll all happen just as quick as they can review the pitch deck input that everyone gave. And I've netted it out. There's 65 different companies that completed or mostly completed this pitch deck input form, which is just wonderful. So this will go on. This is a quite exhaustive pitch deck set of input. So thank you.
So Gordon, to summarize, this PDF with at least that first column filled out will go out to the teams today, tomorrow-ish kind of deal, right? And then the feedback column will get filled out over the next week and will go out as a second iteration.
We could do that. It's Pradeep's call. Certainly, it'll just take us a few minutes to bulk email the left side.
First.
Yeah.
Okay.
And people can use
I think by Monday. Yeah.
And people can use the current form in edit mode to continue to update it, or they could submit another brand new one if they want to start from scratch. So it's their call.
Yeah, but I'm also trying to be sensitive to how many Pradeep gets. I think Pradeep, what we'll do is only for people whose emails were part of the workshop. Because we don't need people going, hey, let me tell my friend if they chose not to come to it kind of deal. They'll be put sort of on a back burner.
Absolutely.
And go from there. So hopefully that helps others. With that, I put an answer.
We can freeze the form as it is right now. The 65 people who have filled it, Gordon, let's freeze it. Yeah, and then
or at least in the next hour. Yeah. With that, I put something into chat. Hopefully that answers your question. If not, put a chat answer and I'll keep helping you.
Put my email?
No, in chat. Have you seen there's a chat message for you?
Yes. So what I can put? My number or what?
No. Does the chat answer I have given you, does that help you, or do you have any further questions? Okay, we'll let her read it and we'll keep going. Other items will stay on another few minutes. All good?
Oh,
great. Okay. We're going to officially end this call. Pradeep and Gordon, if you all want to join on Zoom with TiE Atlanta, we'll join you there.
Yeah. Dr. Rao, you're joining as well?
Sure, I can.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Zoom with TiE Atlanta. So it's bit.ly/Zoom with TiE Atlanta. See you there.
Okay.
Thank you,
Bye,
everyone.
all. Have a
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Wonderful rest of the weekend. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.